Till end do us part. 2. I've removed the threat for you. Whether or not you can seize this opportunity will be up to your own ability. Jumping down from the dragon's back, Bai Yan's first words were directed at his neighbor. Thank you, I won't forget this great favor. Wang Deqiu's wording sounded sincere and honest as he nodded in gratitude. You don't have to thank me, we are in a cooperative relationship so it's mutually beneficial. What's more? Pausing for a minute, Bai Yan went ahead to rub the chubby's head. I also like this child a lot. In response, the father could only twitch in the corner of his mouth. How is this brat likable? How come I never see that? Miss Bai Yan, showing a flattering smile, from what I know about you, people like my brother shouldn't be able to get past your keen sights. They are not the type to stay put after being driven out of the household. Hearing those warning words, Bai Yan only smiled to give the man a wink. Take a guess, why don't you? Shouldn't we settle our own scores first before worrying about others? Di Tsung's voice sounded like he wanted to bite down at that tender flesh like a grouchy sour pouch. But before anyone could respond or stop this, the couple had suddenly disappeared from the spot following a quick breeze from out of nowhere. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. For this reason, the baby boy could only pop his eyes dumbfoundedly. I got left behind again. Baddie father, mother, wait for me. Looking all aggrieved in his cute little face, Bai Xiachen immediately wanted to give chase. However, that wasn't meant to be because one of the giant eagles had untimely swooped down from above, blocking the boy's path as a result. Highness, you can't go. Steaming in his demeanor, Bai Xiachen protests with tears seeping out the corner of his eye. That baddie stole my mother, that is my mother. Highness, the king said he will come pick you up tomorrow so you can't disturb them for now. This is the king's order. Sire's order is too cruel. Look how devastated the little prince is right now. Little Highness, don't say any more, I want to be alone so don't bother me. Sniffling his cute little nose, Bai Xiachen turns his back on the eagle and began squatting there like he's scribbling something on the ground. Talk about a sad picture. Oh my poor little boy, wiping the old tears from his face, Ren Yi looked as distressed as the boy himself. Unbeknownst to everyone else though, Bai Xiachen was in fact currently writing some circles in order to curse at Di Tsung, not because he's grieving over the fact that he's been left behind. That evil baddie, does he think he can toss me away just like that? I will forever keep clinging on to mother so he won't get another chance like this. Meanwhile over at another location, Di Tsung had only just finished pushing down at the woman underneath himself. He wanted more than just the kiss he's imposing on those lips, he wanted to invade that body and that heart. Di Tsung. Bai Yan was angry as she attempts to push away that ill-behaving hand beneath her thighs. Did you forget the promise you made with me? But Di Tsung did not listen, only pushing harder to kiss on her forehead for some reason. Then just as the woman thought the chance was here to free herself, an explosive sting suddenly came swarming into her head, causing a flood of memories to come flooding out like it's about to be blown apart. Till end do us part. 3. The scene's a chaotic battlefield with the sky illuminated using the blood of two opposing forces. Yen, go back with me, okay? The one speaking was an almost surreal fairy-like man, peerless and divine. He's the avatar of all that was good in this world. This man. Who is he? I have already planned to leave with him, just leave us. Her eyes were filled with astonishment as the scene shifted to another battlefield where another woman stood at the forefront. Why does this woman look so similar to me? Wait, no. To be more accurate, aside from the clothes on that body, what she's witnessing was a woman who had the voice and appearance consistent to her own. Then there's that man beside the woman. Though the face was blurred out as well, Bai Yan could immediately recognize who it was. Di Tsung. That's right, aside from this man, who else could produce such a domineering and arrogant aura? Why would Di Tsung appear in my mind? Yen, have you really chosen him? The fairy-like man was full of sadness when he spoke. You and him are destined to not end well, nor are those people willing to let you go for this. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. I thought you would understand this better than anyone else. Ever since you've forsaken me for the sake of the world, we are doomed to be on opposing ends. But he is not the same as you, I don't care. Until the end, I will stay by his side till death do us part. Bang! It was directly after that speech that Bai Yan's consciousness was thrust into a spiral spin, bursting the illusion and bringing her back to reality. What did you do to me? Faintly white in the face over the extreme emotions coursing through her veins, the woman's first reaction was to ask the man lying above herself. This translation is only hosted on Catranslation. Why did I see such a picture in my head? Contract, Di Tsang showers her with a devious grin. I've contracted you. No matter where you go from now on, I will be able to bring you back to my side using it. Aghast by that answer, Bai Yan's complexion instantly changed. You didn't get my agreement yet, you forced me into a contract. You're crazy. This man is really crazy, he actually used such methods to tie me down. Di Tsang, I am very serious in what I'm about to ask you, so answer me honestly. Releasing her already frowning face, Bai Yan turned stern and serious. Ask away, the man readily answers. Who are you? She has a lot of questions and many pertains to that scene from earlier, especially the part where Di Tsang appeared. I am your husband, your son and your future daughter's father, your parents' son-in-law, your brother's brother-in-law. What else do you want to know? I will answer them all one by one. If you like this translation, then please turn off your ad blockers, it really helps. Or if you want to read ahead, try becoming a Patreon backer. The first tier is just $1, so give it a shot. Picked up a teenager. 1. Bai Yan's heart shuddered, allowing her eyes to close and letting that blood-ridden scene to reappear before herself. It's too real. Obviously she was watching this from a bystander's perspective, but the emotions, the pain, the warmth from their hands touching till the end, everything was so real that it hurts. Shooting her eyes open again and returning herself back to reality, Bai Yan confronts the person from above. Di Tsang, can I really believe in you? You can believe in me wholeheartedly. Fine, I will trust you just this once, but if you forsake me, I won't let you go. Maybe it was for the previous throbbing, or the scene she saw in that flood of memory. Then Yen, when will you return to the demon realm with me? All smiles from that handsome face, Di Tsang gently combs through the woman's hair in anticipation of the answer. Rubbing her chin, the woman puts on a contemplating appearance. I said I would only believe in you, I never said anything about marrying you just yet. Then when are you willing to marry me? Humph, that will depend entirely on your performance. Blinking all innocently like her very own son, Bai Yan's playful look right there and then was intoxicating. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As a result of that careless seduction, Di Tsang could no longer hold himself back. Leaning down again with his overwhelming self, he reignites the burning flame from within. Then I will let you see my performance now. But that's not going to do with the woman. Turning sharp in those irises, Bai Yan's temperament suddenly got cold and distant. Di Tsang, if you touch me again before I fall in love with you, then I promise I will never love you again in this lifetime. In light of that threatening proclamation, the smiles from those lips never once changed, thus emphasizing her point even further than what would happen if she were to frown or get angry. For this demon king, he definitely has the desire part of this relationship filled up, but to say he's deeply in love was still too early at this moment. Therefore, Di Tsang could only stop in his actions midway and endure that discomfort in the lower rod. I will wait for you, and I will work towards building up our bond till neither of us can ever say no again. The man's voice was low and hoarse as he turned around, reaching over for the quilt and covering the woman in the bed. Until that day comes, I will keep my promise. Then why aren't you leaving? Bai Yan slightly frowns in her face as she asked. Scared? Snickering a sneer, Bai Yan found it rather amusing. Ever since she left her family in the previous life, she has never known what fear was. This was true when confronting the unknown, and it remains true even back when she was struck down by that lightning strike in her last moments of life. Di Tsang, you set a contract without my consent, so I have to give you something good in return. The man originally thought she would be angry and was even ready to accept the impending fury. However, what came next was something totally beyond his expectations: a kiss. Boom! Feeling the blood rush right up to his head from that contact, his entire existence was ready to explode from the excitement. She actually took the initiative to offer me a kiss? It's way too sudden. In a reflexive urge, Di Tsang promptly pulled that body closer with his hands and pressed in deeper. Eventually, two constricting bodies were tumbling back and forth atop of the bed, allowing the faint gleam of the moonlight to shine through to their indecent act. After a long period of their electrifying experience, Di Tsang was long asleep by then. Chest open and robe partially untied, he was oh so close to the place of Zen. As for the woman currently lying there atop of him, Bai Yen was rather pleased with her little deed based on that sneaky grin there. You will have to try harder next time if you want me, Di Tsang, hee. She really did go all out this time, because all that remains clinging to that perfect body of hers was a thin layer of underwear, barely enough to cover any of her private parts. Picked up a teenager, too. Oh Di Tsang, why do you always fall for the same trick even after the last? Revealing a beam of success from her gleeful eyes, Bai Yen quickly dresses herself again before disappearing off into the moonlight. The Wang family's home. After all this time, Bai Xiachen was still drawing his circles beside the big tree in his crouching position. As such, Ren Yi, second Shifu, was starting to get extremely anxious in his demeanor. Oh my sweet little ancestor, I will take you to find your mother, okay? If you keep being like this, then my old heart is going to die from distress. Mother? From his moody depressed state, the little steam bun suddenly cries out and made a dash for a certain direction from the front. Following this, what came into view for everyone was a wondrous female figure that's slowly coming over. Mother, I thought you didn't want me anymore. All red in the eyes after being picked up by those slender hands, the little fella looked all aggrieved, like he just faced the biggest indignation out there. Doing the same, Rennie first wiped the old tears from his eye before speaking. Oh Yen Yen, where have you been all this time? After you left, your precious son here has been crouching beside the tree and refused to talk to anyone. No matter how I tried, he just ignored me and everyone else. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. You are mother's most important son, how could I ever not want you? Giving the boy a kiss on the forehead, her heart's ready to melt over her son's behavior. Really? The kid's eyes were twinkling with light over that soothing statement. Making a lovely smile, I love mother the best, no one can compare with mother. Pleased by her son's sweet talking, Bai Yen then lets the boy down before shifting her gaze over to the old-timer. Shifu, let's go, shall we? Slightly started there. Ren Yi's first reaction wasn't an affirming nod, rather it's an inquisitive look. But what about your man? Slyly smiling at the question, Bai Yen grew all cheeky. If he's that capable, then he can come find me on his own. Didn't he claim he could find me wherever I am after doing that contract? Alright, let's put it to a test then. Humph. K-Queen. Sweating all over, the big eagle immediately attempts to stop this before it's too late. Wouldn't it be bad if you leave like this, Queen? What if the king finds out afterwards? Pricking her brow, Bai Yen replies indifferently to the bird brain, he is resting now. Besides, I never intended to let him know to begin with, so don't go bothering him. But, the muttering of the eagle finally irked the little steam bun. Can't you understand what my mother is saying? Turning dark in his cute little face, Bai Xiachen narrows in his threatening eye at the ignorant fool. Little Highness, I. Bai Xiachen was an overprotective mother fanatic, hence the reason why he wouldn't allow anyone to defy Bai Yan's order. My mother is always right and no one is allowed to stop her. Sure enough, panic swiftly arose from the eagle's heart. Hurrying to lower his head, yes, Highness. Now that's a good bird, patting the eagle on the head like it's a pet, if you are obedient then I will speak good stuff about you in front of Batty Father. And if you are afraid of being blamed, you can just say mother and I won't come home if he blames the innocent. Picked up a teenager. 3. The giant eagle really was scared now. Though the kid's threat was childish and enough to make him twitch all over due to the ridiculousness of it all, he's still only just a small timer in the eyes of these people. Let's go. Pulling her son's hand along, Bai Yan didn't forget to pick up the baby tiger with her other hand before jumping up the dragon's back. Shifu, come quickly, if we are late then Di Tsang is going to catch up to us. Yes, I'm coming. Without a second thought, Ren Yi instantly faded from his spot and reappeared on the dragon's back as well. As for the giant eagle tasked with watching over the boy, he figured it still better if he reported this to the king. Therefore, the bird wasted no time in flapping his chicken wings over to the location where Di Tsang's aura was hovering. However, just when he's about to push open the door in question, Bai Yan's word from earlier suddenly popped up in his mind again, thus stopping his movement in the last minute. Would King blame me if I disturb his rest? But thinking back to how attentive Di Tsang was towards his queen, the bird's swaying mindset once again calmed itself. In a gnash of its beak, he practically jumped right in based on that movement like he's entering the depths of hell. Sadly for this big eagle though, due to his enormous size, only that head has managed to fit through. As for his massive body, it stuck like a chicken hen trying to squirm through the fence. Now he couldn't go in nor get out lest he destroys a part of the entrance, poor bird. Sire, just now the queen said you were in the middle of sleeping, did I disturb you? The giant eagle hastily asks out of fear. Already awake and leaning against the pillow with his chest still half open, Di Tsang squints his eyes towards the ignorant bird. I was never asleep. Then King Yu, the news greatly startled the eagle. If King was never asleep then why did he let the queen go? Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. If my little wife wants to play then where's the issue? It doesn't matter where she goes anyways. I can always go find her now. Twitching in his beak, if nothing else, should I retreat then? Wait. A slightly dangerous light flickers across the man's iris. Go find the two fools who dares to insult my wife. And when you do, remove them. If Yen Yen does not intend to do it then I can do it for her. No one is ever allowed to touch her, ever. King, I was too late and someone has already gotten to them before I. The eldest Wang Deyuan have gone crazy and the third brother Wang Dei is now crippled and his cultivation destroyed. Squinting his eyes over this news, Di Tsang abruptly burst into a hollering laugh. I knew my wife isn't that kind-hearted. It seems I was worried for nothing. This literally left the eagle gawking his eyes because the man's meaning there was that the one responsible was none other than Bai Yan. Instead of doing it afterwards, why didn't the queen just abolish them when they were at the Wang family's home? No matter how much the bird contemplated the issue, he was still at a loss over this puzzle. Eventually, he gave up and left as told. The night was deep and it shadowed the sky like a curtain. For this reason, even when a ginormous dragon zoomed through the air and cut through the clouds, none were able to notice the wavy patterns in the sky. However, this abnormal event didn't last for long before the serpent came to a half in its flight to make landing. Yen Yen, we can stop here for me, all smiles there. Ren Yi readily jumps off the dragon's back. Remember though, it will only be a few more days before the great gathering at the medicine sect. You must attend all right. Picked up a teenager. 4. Shifu, you really don't need me to send you? Bai Yan furrows her brow and asked. Coughing awkwardly using that guilty vocal, Ren Yi didn't need to think twice before replying, no, I and your other two shifus will go to the medicine sect on our own. We can meet up there instead. Because he's the one who inadvertently leaked the news of Bai Yan sneaking away and then dumping the blame on his third brother, there's no way Ren Yi would allow the pair to meet. Okay, nodding her head without further thought, Bai Yan accept the excuse as was, then we will meet the three of you there as you wish. Making a shallow smile, Bai Yan didn't reply right away. Instead, she shifted her gaze down at the adorable little steam bun next to her arm. Wang Xiaopeng of the Wang family is my son's friend, that's why I did that in order to not make things difficult for him. What's more, if someone does pursue the matter and investigate, they will only assume it's an enemy seeking revenge against those two brothers and not us getting involved. Bai Yan has no reason to fear any form of retribution from those two bastards, but that doesn't mean Wang Deqiu and his two children wouldn't. From what she can see, the first brother has a very dark heart. Against that sort of people, plus the resources at their disposal, it would just be a matter of time before they return the favor against their second brother. As such, this was the best solution for everyone without bringing the friction to the surface. So that's why, nodding his head like he's enlightened now, Ren Yi didn't want to dwell on the matter and moved on. Well then, the hour's getting late, so I'll go ahead first. Remember Yan Yan, you must go to the medicine sect and attend the convention. I and your other two shifas will arrive shortly after I go meet up with them. They've been planning for this day for far too long, ever since they became aware of Bai Yan's talent anyways. Don't assume Ren Yi and his two brothers are all fine and dandy after breaking into the 7th level of their alchemic ability, it's still a far cry from that old bastard of the medicine sect. Compared to an 8th or 9th level alchemist, the three of them were still puny. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases, so, if they themselves couldn't achieve the magnificent glory of one-upping those old-timers in that blasted sect, they could only look to the next generation. After going their separate ways with her second Shifu, Bai Yan, Draki, go in that direction for the medicine sect, patting the serpent's head, she's starting to get accustomed to ordering this big fella around. Grower, issuing a defeating roar in response, the glass dragon wasted no time in flapping his wings. The place they are headed to was a place called the Medicine Mountain, also home to the medicine sect that's located at the peak. Due its nature of being extremely rich in nutrients, the soil here was ideal for producing some of the rarest herbs across the land, hence making it the ideal holy ground for them scholars of alchemic pursuit. Perhaps it's due to the convention being around the corner, from what used to be an averagely walked path up the mountain has become a parade of merchants and travelers. This would of course not bode well with the enchanting woman who dislikes being crammed in with so many. After musing over her options, she soon found another path, a more secluded road just for herself. Naturally anyone would find it strange that no one would take this trail, but the answer soon came to light after taking notice to the demon beasts lurking within the bushes. They are much more powerful than the regular kind. However, instead of attacking the small party, the dragon left behind due to its scary appearance, these creatures didn't even have the nerve to approach them. In fact, they were proactively retreating to make way like a king had just arrived at their doors. Mother, tugging at his mother's sleeve all of a sudden, Bai Xiaochen points to a tall patch of grass nearby, there's someone over in that direction. I think he's fainted, should we help him? It's exactly as per the little boy says, Bai Yan had noticed the presence of another much earlier than her son. However, they were on unfamiliar grounds, hence the reason why she didn't want to get involved. But now that her son has spoken up, she couldn't just turn a blind eye anymore. Elder of the medicine sect, 2, uncle, tightly pulling against An Zhenning's hand, the peachy boy revealed a touch of rosy anger from his face as he made his case, these people are too horrible, can you go help my friend? Xiang ran, this is related to the medicine sect though, the man clearly sounded hesitant. Unlike the Wang house who has the misty fairy house backing them from behind, their in-house might not be able to bear the consequences if they do offend such a power. That's why he's not stepping in. I don't care, you have to help Xiaochen and his mother. If you don't help them, then I will, giving a thorough stomp of his feet, and Xiang Ran makes his final move, I will leave home and never return. Towards his nephew's unreasonable demand, An Zhenning could only make a helpless smile. That's what happens when this little guy is his brother's only son and the old pop's precious little sweet boy. But just as this man wanted to speak out to intervene, the reddish figure standing in the middle of the encirclement had made her move first. With one quick leap, Bai Yan was now floating in the air. I originally didn't want to make things too difficult for the Wang house because of Xiaoping's relationship, but you people simply wouldn't let us go. Almost immediately after that statement, a deafening roar of a dragon had come swooping over from the distance, followed closely by a ginormous shadow darting to their location and blocking off the sun in the process. Glass dragon, kill any who dares to block our path. Landing firmly onto the creature's back, Bai Yan issues out this order like a king, a truly ruler of this world. Dear dragon, Wang Dei was deathly pale from the shock. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. How can this be? Dragons have long gone extinct 1,000 years ago, why does she have a dragon as a ride? This is not possible. Of course, it's not just this scoundrel thinking this. It's been a millennium since dragons have appeared before the mundane in this world. To witness one in real life was equivalent to witnessing a god, a surreal creature of legend. That's why when news broke out of Bai Xiachen becoming the master of this glass dragon, most have already gotten wind of this, the one exception being Fairy City. In the minds of these people, they only have the misty fairy house in their eyes. As to what occurs in the outside world, it's unimportant, making them relatively closed off if not for the occasional visitors from the other two major sections. Then just as everyone was in awe over the serpent flying in the air, majestic voice untimely interjects itself, it seems I came at the wrong time. Should I leave and return after the Wang family finishes with their affairs? This voice may sound unfamiliar to all the rest, but Wang Deyuan and Wang Dei definitely recognizes it. Just like how they foretold, an elder in white soon appeared from the gloomy clouds, issuing out a ray of hope for these two brothers. Elder Zheng, you came just in time. The scoundrel didn't forget to shoot a venomous glare over to Bai Yan's location. This woman took away the dragon fruit we prepared for you. If your prestigious self came any later, then it would have been too late. Medicine Sect 1. Mother, this little uncle is so pitiful, why don't we help him? Tugging at his mother's sleeve, Bai Xiachen's bright baby eyes were filled with sympathy. Since Bai Yan would rarely refuse the little steambun's request, it didn't take much for her to nod that head. You can follow me for the time being, but you must listen to me on the road and can't act without my authorization. Can you do that? Changing from that lonely expression mere moments ago, a fair blooming smile instantly bursts forth from that dollish face. I can. In comparison to the secluded road that the party took, the entrance to the medicine sect was rather noisy right now. Even so, that doesn't mean just anyone could get into the place, they need an invitation. Fortunately Reni thought of this ahead of time. Right before the elder left, he specifically handed over the slip to the woman, thus allowing her to bypass the two guards smoothly. Mother, is this the medicine sect? It's quite different from what I imagined it to be. The little steambun was rather taken aback by the bustling bazaar that appeared before his eyes. First rubbing her son's head over that remark, Bai Yan patiently explains the reasoning. This is not the real medicine sect yet, it's only the outer perimeter town used by them to trade and such. Think of it like a capital city and a palace, one stays at the edge while the other stays at the center. Making a faintly understanding nod, the kid didn't care whether or not he got it. Okay, I will listen to you, mother. Amused by the boy's obvious confusion, Bai Yan only smiled at him without pointing that out. She's more concerned with a certain face at the moment, specifically someone called Bai Zhanpeng who lives right here in the medicine sect. Forget it, the day of the convention is still not here yet. Meeting later on that date is the same anyways. Medicine sect. Come in. Slowly opening those eyes, the one speaking was none other than the mentioned Bai Zhanpeng. Creak. Young master, I have something to report. Respectful in his tone, this man in green appears quite excited in his demeanor. What is it? Bai Zhanpeng frowned and asked. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases, my lord, regarding the matter of observing the one you mentioned before. I have now gotten news of something great regarding the Mississippi. Nowadays, whenever this man would hear of any news related to Bai Yan's welfare ever since returning to the medicine sect, he would instantly tighten up because he's well aware of what sort of treatment the girl went through during her youth. Young master, according to the information in my hand, Miss Bai Yen is in fact not a true daughter of Bai Jingxiang, rather a adopted one entrusted to his wife Lan Yu through someone she knew. Bang! The mindset of this young lord instantly exploded, throwing his brain into a state of emptiness. What did he say? Isn't biological, but rather a daughter entrusted to Lan Yu? Is this news accurate? Slamming that hand onto the table, Bai Zhenpeng's handsome face was a blistering red due to how hard he was breathing. It's absolutely true. The guard respectfully replies, this news was left behind by the last will of Lan Yu before her passing, and was confirmed again by the Dowager of the Lu Hua Kingdom. Medicine sect, too, their last name is also Bai. And she looks so similar to her. Can it be? Slowly closing his eyes, Bai Zhenpeng's body was faintly shuddering as his heart kept giving rise to a single answer. Don't let anyone know about this yet. I'm going to seek my father's input first. Suppressing that urge to run out this second, the man's excited complexion couldn't be any more obvious. Yes, milord. The guard bends down, showing his compliance before turning away. Alone again in this mildly quiet room, Bai Zhenpeng's calm facade eventually crumbles. Throwing himself out the door like a rocket, the urgent man makes quick work of the distance between his room and the study where he would eventually find his father currently being smothered with the scent of dust and old age. Son, what's the matter? Is it that the preparations for the convention is ready? Showing a glimmer of hope in his eyes, Father, do you still remember the story I told you about before? Of how a young lady managed to save me and even cured me of my illness that's been stubbornly plaguing my body over the years. I do, but why? Raising a brow at his son's abnormally high expression, do you want me to send her an invitation as well? If so then there's no need to ask me, you can take charge in my place. No father, that's not why I'm coming to you, it's for an entirely different matter. Sucking in a deep breath, Bai Zhenpeng could no longer hold back his excitement and blurts out everything, there's something I didn't tell you. That girl, she looks nearly identical to Ninger, sister, when she was younger. KKK. It's as if a silent snapping sound just occurred in the study room. Dropping the book from the palm of his hand, the elder slowly rises from his chair like a stumbling senior who couldn't control his body. In fact, the trembles were so intense that even the tea set on the desk was being affected and started to shake. What did you say? The girl who saved you looks very similar to your sister. Why have you never told me about this? His daughter's been missing for more than 20 years. Whether she's alive or not, this poor father doesn't have a clue. So, imagine how much of a shock this sudden windfall must be for him. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases, it's because I've been investigating her background since I met her. At first the information came back as a negative. They say she's the biological daughter of a certain Bai house in that kingdom. Making a bittersweet smile, Bai Zhenpeng wanted to slap himself for being so foolish. Then why are you telling me this? Are you planning something? Clenching his shaking hand until it's making a crunching sound, the father fixes his gaze at his son like an eagle being renewed with life. Looking straight back, I became worried after I left that kingdom. That's why I had someone tail her during this period in order to protect her. Guess what, father, I just got word of something really important. Just thinking back to what the guard told him just minutes ago, Bai Zhenpeng's mood would instantly be thrilled with joy. Turns out the young girl I met isn't the daughter of that scumbag who leads that household, rather she's an adopted daughter of the late wife handed over by another woman whose surname also happens to be Bai like ours. Based on this, I speculate she might be Ninger's biological daughter. Though the middle-aged man didn't say the last bit aloud, but he could see he didn't need to, his father already knew what he meant. Clay. The sound was the direct result of the senior crashing back down to his chair and knocking the teacup from the desk. For this, the warm liquid had soaked into the various books that's considered invaluable to the outside world due to the knowledge written inside. Ninger's daughter. Is she really my granddaughter? Ha! I finally have a third generation to my line. Wonderful, truly wonderful. Medicine Sect, 3, he laughed and laughed, then came the muddled tears of grief trickling down his cheeks. Ever since his daughter by Ning disappeared without a trace years ago, he's been sleepless and distraught over this fact. For that, not only did his hair turn entirely white overnight, even his son Bai Zhanpeng has been unable to seek a caring wife due to the woes of that case. And now, word has returned that Bai Ning has a daughter. Even if the hope was little, it still means his daughter could be alive. Son, where is that girl? I want to meet her. Bai Changfeng's, grandpa, voice carried an incessant impatience like he's anticipating the best outcome possible. She should still be in the Luhua kingdom. Though I did send her an invitation before so she might be coming to attend. Cooling his initial excitement, Bai Zhanpeng reverts back to his usual calm self. Father, let's keep this matter away from the girl for now. I fear if we make a mistake and cause a circus then it won't be good for us or Miss Bai Yen. There's already enough sadness in the air so I don't want to increase that any further. Father, ignoring the discontented glare coming his way, it's true Bai Yen is very likely my niece, but that doesn't mean it's entirely certain yet. However, he pauses, giving a moment of silence for both of them to think on this. If the unfortunate does come true, I would still like to take her in as my goddaughter. She's a wonderful girl and it's a shame to let someone like that go without help. Regardless of what sort of outcome this turns out to be, Bai Zhanpeng's attachment to Bai Yen has already been set in stone since the first day he laid eyes on the woman. Perhaps it's the face that looked so familiar to his younger sister, but the feelings are true. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. By Chang Feng was quiet. Letting the mood hang for a moment, he waves his hand in defeat. Fine, fine, I will do as you want me to. In any case, regardless of what the results are, I will still take the lass into my medicine sect and properly raise her as is. Besides, those three rascals from the Holy Land's been coming over recently to flaunt in front of me about their amazing disciple. If that lass Bai Yen can become a member of my medicine sect then we can one-up the rest just like usual. Of course, the most important factor in his decision here still lingers around the fact that Bai Yen looked far too similar to his daughter Bai Ning. Even if she isn't my granddaughter, at the very least I can soothe my old heart by reminiscing that face. Bang! Out of the blue, the door to the study room was suddenly pushed open and in came another person whom neither son and father here wanted to see. Compared to most of the members in the medicine sect who knows how to keep a certain standard for themselves, this granny could only be called a shrew. As a result, Bai Changfeng's expression instantly sank and became exceptionally ugly. What do you want now? Annoyed by the interruption, the lord and master of this great power made no effort to hide his foul mood. Brother-in-law, you have to get justice for me. Those people out there is talking behind my back and calling me a leech that doesn't do anything to contribute to the medicine sect. How can they say that about me? This place is my brother-in-law's home, meaning it's my home. Wiping the tears off her old face, if you continue to let those people make such irresponsible remarks then how can you ever face my dead sister? Tightening his hand into a ball, that last remark definitely hit a sore spot for the elder. Humph, if not for my late wife then none of you people would have ever taken a step into my home. What do you want then? The old lady then reveals her true color with that smug grin. Brother-in-law, I see that Zhanpeng is already 40-something and without a single child. Why don't I have my granddaughter Inger become his goddaughter? She is so sensible and good, I'm sure she will be very filial to him in the future. Humph. Understanding the intent of this old shrew, the grandpa couldn't help but make a snarling sneer with his mouth. First, my medicine sect has very strict rules. Aside from producing a bunch of thick skins like you, who would dare talk behind our backs? Secondly, a girl like Yi Ying is too much for me, I can't afford it. Medicine sect. 4. Compared with his father who hailed from the medicine sect, Bai Zhanpeng's mother only came from a normal household. But due to her outstanding ability, the pair eventually managed to overcome all the odds and got together. A true love story of heart and tears. But when two families of unequal standings get together, there's bound to be an unbalance of power. That's why the late mistress of the great medicine sect would go to such extreme means of requesting the husband to take care of her maiden family. They are average and without power. Zhanpeng, I know it's because you think Inger is too outstanding, that's why you would say such things. If you don't want to recognize her as your goddaughter then that's fine, I still have my grandson Minger. Though the child is a bit untamed, but he's a very filial boy. Unable to take a hint in his nephew's ridicule, the old granny continues on with her irritating rant. In any case, you have no children anyways and I doubt you will ever find a partner with your ways. If we are going to let the medicine sect fall into the hands of an outsider then it would be better to let my Minger inherit it. Don't worry, I can guarantee he will be a great lord and see to it that you be greatly cared for. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Unable to take it anymore, Bai Changfeng finally snapped and smashed the teacup on the table. When have my position ever become something to be connived after by the likes of you? Don't think my patience has no limit. No matter how much I love your late sister, I will not permit others to have such thoughts while in my presence. If you test me again, even once, I will toss you out of my home. Brother-in-law. Old Madame Ye's expression also darkens as a result. I am only doing this for your sake. When you and Zhanpeng is gone after growing old, who will look after this place? I'm only offering you a solution by letting Minger help. Now you are turning my goodwill into an act of evil. Talk about repaying a good deed with a bad one. In a fit of rage, the old shrew stamps her feet and turned away for the outside, all the while showing that twisted face of hers. Damn you Li Jing. If you had agreed to let your bitch of a daughter, Bai Ning, marry my son years ago then none of this would be happening. So what if no one else would admit it? Bai Ning, that little bitch has already disappeared for nearly 20 years, she must have died somewhere in the wild already. I can't let things continue like this. Brother-in-law is starting to distance himself from my family with each passing day. If the situation persists, it will just be a matter of time before my grandchildren and I get expelled from this place. I must make Zhanpeng take Minger as his son. Flickering a flash of sinisterly intent from her iris. Old Madame Yi picks up her pace for the intended destination. Pained by his father's guiltiness, the son here hurried to help soothe the seniors back. Oh father, there are things one can't do. As long as you know you've done your greatest then there's nothing to fret. Over the years anyone can see the level of indulgence you instilled upon the Yi family. If mother knows what you've done for them in the heavens, then I'm sure she wouldn't blame you either when you make the final decision. I can only hope, my son. Heaving a long sigh, I'm tired, leave me and let me rest. When the time is right, don't forget to bring that girl to me. Yes father, I promise you. Giving his old man an affirmative nod, Bai Zhanpeng promptly left to carry out his plan. Now, alone again and with a peace of mind, Bai Changfeng then slowly strolled over to a closet where a precious portrait has been stored. Opening it, what came into view was a warm woman gently smiling back at him, raising the trickles of tears inside the heartbroken man. Are you going to scram or what? 1. Jinger, I have treated the Yi family well as you wished, but now they are getting ideas about our son. Choking at his own emotions, the grandpa needed a moment before continuing. If you were still alive, you wouldn't want to see such an outcome, would you? Touching the woman's face in that portrait, Bai Changfeng's gaze exuded the sense of love found only in those who truly knew what it means. So, when I can no longer endure after they crossed my limit, I hope you won't blame me if I did something to hurt them. Why is the world so cruel? Jinger is such an outstanding woman, how can a family like that produce someone so great? If this is the case then my medicine sect won't have to be afraid of not having a successor anymore. As for Zhanpeng, Making another sigh at the thought, his heart has never been focused in that direction. With my age, I fear that day won't come even after I am gone. While the father and son were preparing to carry out their plans, something else was happening not so far away at a particular inn. Brilliant, seductive, the man's very existence demanded attention as soon as he stepped through the main door, which immediately left the occupants inside gasping from astonishment. However, this was not the feministic kind that one would want to trifle with. This entity radiated the image of a king. In fact, it was so omnipotent that the very aura alone could suffocate their lungs if they weren't careful. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Finally, after a long minute of drooling ahs from the masses, someone did eventually come back to their senses and whispered to their peers, "This man is so beautiful yet his aura is so scary. I doubt any woman in this world could ever tame such a wild horse." That may not be, I think the medicine sex Yi Ying would have that ability. First, let's not mention the girl's skill. The fact that I heard the young lord intends to take her as a goddaughter is enough to put her into that position. Meanwhile, upstairs on the second floor of this inn, a woman dressed in a light green dress was currently looking down at what's occurring below. "Uncle Chung, what's your opinion of that man's strength?" The one known as Yi Chung remained silent for a while. "It is unfathomable." "Unfathomable?" Gently tapping the table, a faint smirk escapes the girl in green. "Grandma wants my brother to become the heir of the medicine sect, but with his sort of personality, it will only just be a matter of time before he destroys it with his philandering. Shame I'm a girl, otherwise I could do it instead. But my granduncle would never agree to it, nor would my grandmother." "Miss, your meaning is?" The elder asks, unsure what to make of the girl's sudden frankness. "What if I found a powerful husband? That man down there, didn't you say his strength is very good? I can set him as my target." "Miss, you are too impulsive," shaking his old head. "Do you know anything about his background? What if he's already with a wife and child? How could we allow you to become someone's concubine considering your status? And even if he is exceptionally strong, his background is not qualified to be your husband." Till end do us part. 1. Nibbling at the woman's ear, Di Tsang naturally wouldn't miss the signaling glances between the sneaky pair. "We will talk about our problem after I am done." Swirling his head around, the man's gaze swiftly fell upon the insignificant ants down below himself, or more specifically, to Wang Dei, who was gulping at that intimidating existence. "Father, save me, I don't want to die." The scoundrel makes a plea to the grandpa, fearing he would be the first to suffer that wrath. In response, the family chief of this Wang house only closed his eyes, allowing his body to tremble slightly due to the unsettling sensation coursing through his veins. "Miss Bai Yen, I choose the first option of driving my sons out of the household. Being expelled is better than death." Wang Dei instantly degenerated after hearing that. Slouching his back into a curve, this middle-aged fella looked like he just aged 10 years over in that split second. When did I ever promise something like that? It was then the domineering and dark voice casts its shadow over the people. "You think a single word is enough to settle things after attacking my wife and child? What does sir want then?" Showing a bitter smile, the old grandpa steels his own nerve to ask. "Apologize to my wife by kneeling on the ground." Unyielding and unmerciful, Di Tsang's voice was bone-chillingly cold. "I won't suffer such humiliation. Kill me if you like." Wang Dei was really angry. "I've already been expelled from home, now these people still want to humiliate me." But pompous words don't equate to his own courage. Following that proclamation, a loud and deafening roar had come down from above, sending the scoundrel shuddering with horror at the realization. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. I know my wrong, please have mercy on me, Mississippi. This literally left everyone flabbergasted as their jaws dropped. What happened to the death over humiliation? It was just one roar, that's enough to make him pee his pants. Then again, it was an understandable reaction after their eyes fell upon that thick mass of flocking birds in the sky. Instead of showing contempt, only sympathy remains for the Wang brothers who made a true fool of themselves today. I have already apologized. Can I leave now? Not even brave enough to raise his head when asking, Wang Dei only had the look of a coward as he shivered uncontrollably. What sort of sin did I ever do to encounter these two monsters? When did I say you can leave just because you apologized? Raising a bloodthirsty grin, Di Tsang begins toying with the fool according to his will. You, green with anger in his face, Wang Dei wanted to flare out at the damning couple. However, he knew the only chance he has was to play submissive. What else do you want from me then? Say it now so I can do it. Ignoring the kneeling man down below, Di Tsang returns his gaze over to Bai Yan for the answer. What do you want to do with him? Have them leave the Wang house entirely with their close members. If I were to ever learn of their return, then I will personally cut off their legs. A flash of light flickers within the woman's iris, showing she meant it. Okay, in light of that frown, Di Tsang didn't raise an objection and only sneered at the contemptible man. Scram then. Like being granted amnesty, Wang Dei wasted no time in pulling his daughter up from the ground before fleeing out of this place. Although the identity of being part of the Wang family was very important to him, but that's nothing in comparison to his own life. Therefore, the scoundrel didn't want to spend another minute here out of fear for the woman changing her mind in the last second. Just you wait, one day I will return everything you did to me today. Not forgetting to cast a departing glance back over, this was the last thought Wang Dei had in his mind when disappearing from view. Are you going to scram or what? 3. The timing of Di Tsang's entrance couldn't be any more inappropriate. Not only did he get to witness firsthand Bai Yan handing a handkerchief over to the teen, their hands are actually touching. In a blink of an eye, a storm seems to have covered the entire room due to the man's gloominess. Di Tsang, what a coincidence that you came at this time. Twitching in the corner of her mouth after jerking up from the chair, Bai Yan hurries to take the lead in directing the story. Yes, what a coincidence this is, stomping over to make a grab for that dainty hand in question. Di Tsang's appearance was overflowing with the ooze of jealousy while he eyed the lolly-faced opponent. What were you two doing just now? I was helping Piggy wipe his tears. Piggy? Your handkerchief is really just for that pig? Yep, only for the pig. She regretted it the second after that involuntarily response. I clearly didn't do anything here. Why am I explaining myself back forth and forth in front of Di Tsang? Not like I need to anyways. As for the pink piggy who's responsible for the misunderstanding, the poor thing already lost all semblance of its former self. Scared to the point where he couldn't even raise his pig head, the little guy was clearly being overwhelmed by that dominating aura. Who is he? Pressing his lips together, Di Tsang continues to ask. Working fast in the brain, Bai Yan blurts out the first thing that came to mind, my little brother. Your little brother? How come I never knew you had another little brother aside from Bai Xiao? This, stumped by that comment, if I say he is then he is, am I right my son? Without disappointment, Bai Xiachen hurries to nods his little head like a rocking drum in support. Uncle Mo is mother's little brother, that's right. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. If he's your mother's little brother, then why are you addressing him like that? Note, he used his surname instead of Shang, which would be considered a formal way of addressing someone and not a close family member. Showing a dull face like he's lost, the little steam bun didn't get the question from his old man. Did I say something wrong there? Yen, dubious in his eyes, Mo Li Shang returns a look of his own at the tyrannical figure across from himself. Have I met him before? Why can't I remember anything? Heavily furrowing that brow, Mo Li Shang painfully grabs onto his own head in pain. That cheek had turned dreadfully pale like it's been devoid of color, bordering on the line of transparency even. Shang. Frightened by that sudden change, Bai Yan made a quick dash over in order to rub the teen's forehead. If you forgot then it's fine, there's no need to push yourself. Some memories are not meant to be remembered, that's why some people choose to forget those painful ones. Stiffening over the touch, over the soothing voice, the lad gradually returns to norm. Okay, I will listen to you. Likely stable in his emotions again, Mo Li Shang then slowly stood up like he's been released. Oddly enough, the impression was neither feministic nor manly from his blooming smile, it's just pure and clean like the good of the world. Son, go back with Shang Shang and rest, I will come join you two afterwards. Flicking a wink at the baby boy, Bai Yan orders. Okay mother, I will wait for you. Giving one final and reluctant glance at the unfinished dishes on the table, Bai Xiachen firmly licks away the last bit of sauce from his thumb before jumping off the chair. Uncle Mo, I am so tired, can you take me to my room to rest? Till end do us part, 3, the scene's a chaotic battlefield with the sky illuminated using the blood of two opposing forces. Yen Yen, go back with me, okay? The one speaking was an almost surreal fairy-like man, peerless and divine, he's the avatar of all that was good in this world. This man. Who is he? Just as Bai Yan's heart was thumping with immeasurable pain at the image, a familiar voice once again blew up from beneath those memories, sending her head back into a blank state. I have already planned to leave with him, just leave us. Her eyes were filled with astonishment as the scene shifted to another battlefield where another woman stood at the forefront. Why does this woman look so similar to me? Wait, no. To be more accurate, aside from the clothes on that body, what she's witnessing was a woman who had the voice and appearance consistent to her own. Then there's that man beside the woman. Though the face was blurred out as well, Bai Yan could immediately recognize who it was. Di Tsang. That's right, aside from this man, who else could produce such a domineering and arrogant aura? Why would Di Tsang appear in my mind? Yen Yen, have you really chosen him? The fairy-like man was full of sadness when he spoke, you and him are destined to not end well, nor are those people willing to let you go for this. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases, I thought you would understand this better than anyone else. Ever since you've forsaken me for the sake of the world, we are doomed to be on opposing ends. But he is not the same as you, I don't care. Until the end, I will stay by his side till death do us part. Bang! It was directly after that speech that Bai Yan's consciousness was thrust into a spiral spin, bursting the illusion and bringing her back to reality. What did you do to me? Faintly white in the face over the extreme emotions coursing through her veins, the woman's first reaction was to ask the man lying above herself. This translation is only hosted on Catranslation. Why did I see such a picture in my head? Contract, Di Tsang showers her with a devious grin, I've contracted you. No matter where you go from now on, I will be able to bring you back to my side using it. Aghast by that answer, Bai Yan's complexion instantly changed. You didn't get my agreement yet, you forced me into a contract. If I said it, would you agree? Invoking his finger across that tender face, Di Tsang's smirky grin showed how happy he was over his act, whether or not you like it Yen Yen, from now on you and I are in the same boat. My life is in your hands. You live I live, you die I die, we will forever be together until the end. You're crazy. This man is really crazy, he actually used such methods to tie me down. Di Tsang, I am very serious in what I'm about to ask you, so answer me honestly. Releasing her already frowning face, Bai Yan turned stern and serious. Ask away, the man readily answers. Who are you? She has a lot of questions and many pertains to that scene from earlier, especially the part where Di Tsang appeared. I am your husband, your son and your future daughter's father, your parents' son-in-law, your brother's brother-in-law, what else do you want to know? I will answer them all one by one. Picked up a teenager, 1, Bai Yan's heart shuddered, allowing her eyes to close and letting that blood-ridden scene to reappear before herself. It's too real. Obviously she was watching this from a bystander's perspective, but the emotions, the pain, the warmth from their hands touching till the end, everything was so real that it hurts. Shooting her eyes open again and returning herself back to reality, Bai Yen confronts the person from above. Di Tsang, can I really believe in you? You can believe in me wholeheartedly. Fine, I will trust you just this once, but if you forsake me, I won't let you go. Maybe it was for the previous throbbing, or the scene she saw in that flood of memory. But regardless of what it was, she's willing to take this gamble even if it was only this one time. Then Yen, when will you return to the demon realm with me? All smiles from that handsome face, Di Tsang gently combs through the woman's hair in anticipation of the answer. Rubbing her chin, the woman puts on a contemplating appearance. I said I would only believe in you, I never said anything about marrying you just yet. Then when are you willing to marry me? Humph, that will depend entirely on your performance. Blinking all innocently like her very own son, Bai Yan's playful look right there and then was intoxicating. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As a result of that careless seduction, Di Tsang could no longer hold himself back. Leaning down again with his overwhelming self, he reignites the burning flame from within. Then I will let you see my performance now. But that's not going to do with the woman. Turning sharp in those irises, Bai Yan's temperament suddenly got cold and distant. Di Tsang, if you touch me again before I fall in love with you, then I promise I will never love you again in this lifetime. In light of that threatening proclamation, the smiles from those lips never once changed, thus emphasizing her point even further than what would happen if she were to frown or get angry. For this demon king, he definitely has the desire part of this relationship filled up, but to say he's deeply in love was still too early at this moment. Therefore, Di Tsang could only stop in his actions midway and endure that discomfort in the lower rod. I will wait for you, and I will work towards building up our bond till neither of us can ever say no again. The man's voice was low and hoarse as he turned around, reaching over for the quilt and covering the woman in the bed. Until that day comes, I will keep my promise. Then why aren't you leaving? Bai Yen slightly frowns in her face as she asked. I'm afraid you will be scared if I leave, that's why I have to stay and protect you from those wolves. All serious in his tone, the man just had to ruin the precious moment with his shamelessness. Scared? Snickering a sneer, Bai Yen found it rather amusing. Ever since she left her family in the previous life, she has never known what fear was. This was true when confronting the unknown, and it remains true even back when she was struck down by that lightning strike in her last moments of life. Di Tsang, you set a contract without my consent, so I have to give you something good in return. The man originally thought she would be angry and was even ready to accept the impending fury. However, what came next was something totally beyond his expectations, a kiss. Boom! Feeling the blood rush right up to his head from that contact, his entire existence was ready to explode from the excitement. She actually took the initiative to offer me a kiss? It's way too sudden. In a reflexive urge, Di Tsang promptly pulled that body closer with his hands and pressed in deeper. Eventually, two constricting bodies were tumbling back and forth atop of the bed, allowing the faint gleam of the moonlight to shine through to their indecent act. After a long period of their electrifying experience, Di Tsang was long asleep by then. Chest open and robe partially untied, he was oh so close to the place of Zen. As for the woman currently lying there atop of him, Bai Yen was rather pleased with her little deed based on that sneaky grin there. You will have to try harder next time if you want me, Di Tsang, hee. She really did go all out this time because all that remains clinging to that perfect body of hers was a thin layer of underwear, barely enough to cover any of her private parts. Picked up a teenager, too. Oh Di Tsang, why do you always fall for the same trick even after the last? Revealing a beam of success from her gleeful eyes, Bai Yen quickly dresses herself again before disappearing off into the moonlight. The Wang family's home. After all this time, Bai Xiachen was still drawing his circles beside the big tree in his crouching position. As such, Renyi, second Shifu, was starting to get extremely anxious in his demeanor. Oh my sweet little ancestor, I will take you to find your mother, okay? If you keep being like this then my old heart is going to die from distress. During the couple of years that they spent together on the Holy Island, the three troublesome old-timers would do anything to please this little guy. Even if it meant plucking the stars off the starry sky, they would gladly do it. Mother? From his moody depressed state, the little steam bun suddenly cries out and made a dash for a certain direction from the front. Following this, what came into view for everyone was a wondrous female figure that's slowly coming over. Mother, I thought you didn't want me anymore. All red in the eyes after being picked up by those slender hands, the little fella looked all aggrieved like he just faced the biggest indignation out there. Doing the same, Rennie first wiped the old tears from his eye before speaking. Oh Yen Yen, where have you been all this time? After you left, your precious son here has been crouching beside the tree and refused to talk to anyone. No matter how I tried, he just ignored me and everyone else. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. You are mother's most important son, how could I ever not want you? Giving the boy a kiss on the forehead, her heart's ready to melt over her son's behavior. Really? The kid's eyes were twinkling with light over that soothing statement. Making a lovely smile, I love mother the best, no one can compare with mother. Pleased by her son's sweet talking, Bai Yen then lets the boy down before shifting her gaze over to the old-timer. Shifu, let's go, shall we? Slightly started there. Renyi's first reaction wasn't an affirming nod, rather it's an inquisitive look. But what about your man? Slyly smiling at the question, Bai Yen grew all cheeky. If he's that capable then he can come find me on his own. Didn't he claim he could find me wherever I am after doing that contract? Alright, let's put it to a test then, humph. K-Queen. Sweating all over, the big eagle immediately attempts to stop this before it's too late. Wouldn't it be bad if you leave like this, Queen? What if the king finds out afterwards? Pricking her brow, Bai Yen replies indifferently to the bird brain, he is resting now. Besides, I never intended to let him know to begin with, so don't go bothering him. But, the muttering of the eagle finally irked the little steam bun. Can't you understand what my mother is saying? Turning dark in his cute little face, Bai Xiachen narrows in his threatening eye at the ignorant fool. Little Highness, whoever dares to stop my mother then I will tell Batty Father on them. I want to see if he will believe me or you. Bai Xiachen was an overprotective mother fanatic, hence the reason why he wouldn't allow anyone to defy Bai Yan's order. My mother is always right and no one is allowed to stop her. Sure enough, panic swiftly arose from the eagle's heart. Hurrying to lower his head, yes, Highness. Now that's a good bird, patting the eagle on the head like it's a pet. If you are obedient then I will speak good stuff about you in front of Batty Father. And if you are afraid of being blamed, you can just say mother and I won't come home if he blames the innocent. Yi Ying, 3, attractive. I don't need such thing. As long as I have a little chrysanthemum blossom like you then that's all I need. Bai Yan's face instantly sank into an evil squint. What did you just call me? Little chrysanthemum blossom. Oh Yen Yen, did I say something wrong again? Showing a all-innocent face, Di Tsang really questions himself on whether or not he made a mistake again. I'll deal with you once we are alone. Giving the ignorant bastard a ruthless pinch, she grinds her molars in annoyance. Taking this all in from the side, Yi Ying's endurance was seriously taking a beating. She may have a strong will, but this level of flirting shouldn't be something an unmarried maiden should witness or hear. Therefore, it took all the nerve she had just to contain that unbridled fury from leaking out. You too, but just as she's ready to speak out again, the man's gloomy glare had stopped it in its track. What are you still doing here? Di Tsang's question was unnerving, sounding like it's a howling horror from hell itself. Taking a second to calm herself, Uncle Zhong, let's go. Even so, the shakiness in her voice could not be denied. It's quite apparent the level of anger she had didn't lose out to the fear at all. That's why the door ended up closing with a loud thundering bang once the two outsiders left. It's her form of retaliation. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. What did you do to that old man? Bai Yan asks with her brow raised. Di Tsongs may be able to hide his actions from the world, but not from me. He offended you, making a smirking grin. Anyone who dares to offend my woman must be punished. The fact that I didn't kill him outright is already an act of mercy. Smiling as well, just so you know, I've met the young lord of the medicine sect before. I know. Those people wouldn't have been able to escape alive if not for that reason. Oh, forget it, I only met him by mere coincidence back then. Even if I did save him once, that's my own willing decision. As for that Yi Ying, I am still uncertain whether or not she's Uncle Zhenpeng's daughter yet. Back outside the restaurant, Yi Ying have already stepped out of the establishment where she could vividly catch the clear glimpse of those two dashing figures from the opened window. Their flirtatious mingling was so aggravating that her first had clenched into a hard ball. Uncle Zeng, pay close attention to that woman for me. I won't give up so easily on the man I have chosen. Clenching until the crunching sound of bone could be heard from that hand, Yi Ying vows to herself to take what she deems hers. So what if he has a wife? There are so many people out there who would discard their wife and child for another. Adding one extra to the mix doesn't mean anything. Yes, milady. With his head low and hand pressed against the chest, the old senior's condition remains horrible as the sweat oozed out of his ashen-looking face. What's wrong, Uncle Zeng? Seemingly noticing the oddity with her follower, Yi Ying asks with uncertainty. Smiling wryly, the old senior shakes his head. I'm not sure, my body's been feeling abnormal ever since that man made a move against me. But don't worry, milady, we're members of the medicine sect. I'm sure he wouldn't dare to actually harm me when we were under so many watchful eyes back there. If others didn't know better, it's like they are already members of the medicine sect and not just leeches permitted to stay under special conditions. If that's the case, then that's good. Once we are back home, I will have some of the alchemists take a look at you and diagnose your condition. Loosening her grip and regaining some calm, Yi Ying was back to her usual egotistic self. Let's go. Yi Ying, 4, due to how close the impending date for the alchemist convention was, right around the corner actually, the number of visitors has skyrocketed around the medicine sect as a result. Therefore, out of consideration for her son's safety, Bai Yan specifically tasked the baby tiger Little Rice to stay permanently close to the boy's side at all times. This was for Bai Shuchen's safety, especially after what happened with the snake incident. On the contrary though, Di Tsong's been so absent from their room that Bai Yan didn't even know what the man's been up to during the past few days. If the person doesn't want to say, then she's not going to ask. That left the woman either thinking about her life or simply continuing on with the path of cultivation. Pity though. Aside from that moment when the contract was made between them both, the mysterious scenes in her head had never once again surfaced like she wanted it to. Mother, inside a quiet room of the inn, Bai Yan was currently lazing around by enjoying an afternoon tea when the door was pushed open and in came an excited steam bun. Jumping right into those slender arms, Mother, I am back. What's wrong, did you not enjoy your fun outside to come back this early? Showing a stunning smile, Bai Yan gently caresses that hair in a soothing motion. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. The outside is too lively. Because of the alchemy convention, the people are proactively hosting their own little gatherings everywhere. But I still think Mother's skill is better than theirs if you ask me. Are they now? She gives her son a lovely peck on the cheek over that compliment, causing the boy to burst into a giggling fit at the tickling sensation. Mother is the best, no one can compare with Mother. Nodding in earnest like it's the absolute truth, the little fellow's appearance glowed with pride over his own words. A humph. Suddenly, a light cough from the doorway had broke their warm and intimate scene. Wrinkling that brow, son, did you not remember my teachings? When entering and leave, one must always close the door. Remember this, okay? First giving the uninvited guest at the door a disgruntled glance, then back at his own mother, he nods heavily. I understand, mother, I will remember this for sure next time. I don't want some bad people to get inside our home to harm you. Lady, we meet again. Is this your son? He looks so cute. Humph, so what if he's cute, nothing more than a little runt who doesn't know his manners. In any case, there's no way Yi Ying would say what's truly in her heart, not while in front of the competition anyways. Still smiling like she's without harm, the girl walks into the room without an invitation. Today, I have something to discuss with you. Sipping the tea in her hand, Bai Yan casually asks without bothering to give the person a look, I heard you are Bai Zhanpeng's daughter. Startled at first over the question, Yi Ying quickly composes herself after realizing the information must have come from her follower Yi Zheng. Bai Zhanpeng obviously didn't want to take her as a goddaughter, but in times like this, there's no way she could diminish her own prestige and allow the foe to step above herself. Therefore, she only needed a moment to muse over the options at her disposal before nodding in confirmation. My godfather is actually my distant uncle. Due to how doting he is of me, it's decided that I would become his goddaughter right after the alchemy convention. Regarding this piece of news, not many should know about it yet. I see. Bai Zhanpeng is the distant uncle of Yi Ying. In other words, the grandmother of this girl is the sister of the late wife of the current old lord. You said you came to me with something to discuss. What is it? Bai Yan's not a nosy person, but she was quite interested in why someone like Yi Ying would want to meet herself. The man I saw at the restaurant the other day, is he your husband? Furrowing her brow, the girl asks. Picked up a teenager, 5, she could see there's an individual sprawled along the grasses there. But more than the unconscious teen, she's more attracted to the pink piglet that's currently standing guard beside the person. The little fella was eyeing her with alarmed eyes like she's a danger to its owner. Oink! The pink piggy immediately went on the defensive when Bai Yan drew closer. Step aside. Indifferent in her voice, she eyes the little fella with a pressuring gaze, which instantly showed off her majestic aura. Sure enough, the piggy promptly took a step backwards at the intimidation, thus allowing the woman to examine his owner. The teenager's skin was fair, almost pale even, but that baby face only added to this charm and turning him into a doll. Towards the boy's lolicon appearance, Bai Yan didn't hate it and even found a strange attachment to it, like she wants to get closer to the lad. As result of this unknown movement in her heart, she could no longer leave him be. Mother, is he still alive? Tugging at her mother's hand, Bai Xiachen asks with a sense of hope in those big blue eyes. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Aha, slightly nodding, he seems to have suffered a heavy blow to the head and then succumbed to heavy exhaustion after escaping to this place. That said, Bai Yan then brought out a bottle of medicine from her sleeve to feed the boy. Now that the pink piggy was sure this unknown woman intends to help, the hostility it showed just moments ago quickly dissipated. Turning around with its hopeful eyes, the little thing waits with anticipation in its face over his owner's welfare. And sure enough, it didn't take long for the lad's eyelashes to start fluttering before finally opening it up entirely. Oink! Making a few sobbing cries, the little piggy wasted no time to rush up to the lad's face, rubbing it and smothering it with tears. I'm sorry, piggy, I made you worry. Showing the purest smile like the elves of legend, this child's voice sounded almost melodic. Were you the one who saved me? Smiling as well, it's nothing much. My name is Mo Lishang. Bai Yan's my name. Blinking like a clueless dote, she too reported her name out of reflex. Then can I call you Yen Yen? There's an expected light in the boy's iris, like he knows the woman wouldn't deny him this request. Without surprise, Bai Yan nodded in sequence like a puppet being stringed along. However, she didn't find anything wrong with this and even found it right. Your injury is now healed, so I'll be leaving first. I still have things to attend to. But it would appear it wasn't meant to be. Only a few steps up the road with her son and she was forced to turn around at the tailing boy. Do you have something else you need? I have nowhere to go, I want to follow you, can I? Holding the pink piggy in his arms, he puts on the most pitiful look just like how Bai Xiachen normally does it. I still have a long way to go, so why don't you go home first? Maybe your loved ones are already looking for you. After a long sigh, Bai Yan nevertheless shakes her head in refusal. With his head hanging, the teen appears lost now. I can't remember them. I only remember I am called Emo Li Xing. As for everything else, I can't remember them. You must get justice for me, too. Bai Yan's words may be blunt and direct, however, it also pointed out the impudent girl's real intent with no wiggle room for excuses. It's true my meaning is like that, but why is it that I've been turned into a heinous witch coming out of this woman's mouth? Yi Ying furrows that brow like she's perplexed by the situation. Am I not doing this for the sake of us both? The man would immediately become extraordinary after marriage, and this woman would also transform from a chicken into a peacock by marrying my brother. And the payment? Merely a title of being a wretched wife who cheated behind her husband's back. What's wrong with that? Compared to the benefits, anyone would know what to choose in this case. Lady, the girl's expression darkened somewhat. She wanted to say more after that momentary silence, but it appears the opposition was done listening. Yi Ying, your plan is very good indeed, the benefits are all yours and the bad are dumped onto another. However, unfortunately for you, I am not a person who would be taken advantage of. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Oh, is that your opinion? Bai Yan wanted to laugh but held it in to form a smirk instead. As it so happens, he actually needs a favor at this very moment. It's not difficult at all for you, in fact. All it requires of you is to scram out of here. Would you be willing to oblige? From green to gleaming red, Yi Ying's facade finally crumbles to reveal her true menacing nature. Don't push your luck. Not going to be trampled while on her own turf, Bai Yan has gotten up from her chair. Slowly strolling over to the girl in question, the woman's aura increased exponentially until it's almost oppressive. I have already been very kind to you out of consideration for Bai Zhanpeng's sake, otherwise, you wouldn't have even made it one step into my room. In addition, I have something else to tell you. Halting in her footstep, she sneers at the impudent girl who's glaring fire. Firstly, I am not stupid enough to sacrifice myself for someone whom I believe is not worthy of me. Why should I as a woman sacrifice myself for the sake of a man just because the world deems it worthy? Secondly, I will not relinquish my man to another if I have chosen him. Nor would I believe he would betray me for another. Thirdly, the cup just now is used by my little pet to drink water, but my pet is too clean and your breath is too dirty, that's why I smashed it. You are too polluted to taint his stuff. In order to prove Bai Yan's claim, Little Rice immediately followed up with a meow sound of his own to show off the disgusted opinion he had of the girl in green. You, impudent wench. No matter how good of a facade she has, no matter how good of a control freak she was, there's no way Yi Ying could remain unfazed after that insult. Her voice was downright screaming like a woman yelling out at the market. Okay, I am waiting. Smirking with ridicule at the ignorant fool, Bai Yan lazily leans against the room pillar next to herself like she didn't have a care in the world. A blatant act of dismissing someone, which clearly worked based on how receptively livid Yi Ying was. Humph. Huffing a heavy grunt, it took a good minute for the girl in green to recompose herself. Since you've said it to such a degree, then I won't continue to linger in your presence. But remember this, I will definitely make you regret today's decision. In addition, your man, he will definitely become mine. That said, she promptly stomps away without looking back. Hold on. Unconsciously, a smug grin escapes the girl upon hearing the voice from behind. What, regret it? Unfortunately for the impudent fool that's known as Yi Ying, her words didn't even have a chance to finish before a flying kick of a foot landed right smack into her chest, sending that body flying out across the air like a rice sack. Until the very last second, the girl still couldn't believe what she was experiencing. The only thing she could see was Bai Yan's peerless contour slowly shrinking from view and the disbelieving fact that she's been assaulted. You must get justice for me. 3. How could she dare? This is in the medicine sect. How can that woman do this to me? It took a long time before Yi Ying's flying self could fall back to the ground. Her trajectory, thankfully a crowd of people who shielded the impact, otherwise who knows what sort of bones she would have broke at the fall. Inside the inn, Bai Yan slammed the door behind herself, revealing the refreshed look representing her own mood that release. Oh, I haven't kicked someone like that in such a long time, this feels great. Mother, how come you didn't let me speak out just now? All aggrieved in his sweet little look, Bai Xiachen protests to his mother. Only mother got to have the fun, now what about me? Chuckling at the flushed appearance of her own son, Bai Yan promptly kissed down at those cheeks in absolute delight, her arms rubbing that head like she's held the cuddliest object in the world. Because my precious baby is too clean. If you touch someone so filthy then it would only pollute you as well. Giving himself a minute to contemplate that answer, Bai Xiachen then nodded in earnest, mother is right. In the future mother shouldn't get involved with that person either, just let batty father handle the mess when he comes back. Okay sweetie, we will have your batty father handle it next time. Perhaps it's due to the good mood she was in, Bai Yan didn't even realize that she's now included Di Tsang into the perimeter of the word family. Now instead of 3 members, it's 4. Should I tell batty father this news, that mother just admitted he is her man? Nestled in that warm wonderfully scented body, Bai Xiachen flickered with a light of success in his eyes. If batty father knows then I'm sure he would be ecstatic. Back outside the street, the crowds were currently swarming around the location where Yi Ying landed. Their discussions revolved around how confused the girl appeared after smacking down from the sky. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. It took a while for the shameless girl to return home from her shameless venture, but when Yi Ying finally did so, another figure had blocked her path. Oh my granddaughter! What happened to you? How come you are looking like this? The other person exclaims, horrified by the girl's tattered look. Grandma! Flushed red from anger and embarrassment, do you think that I am not shameful enough yet? Are you trying to attract even more people to see my misery? This, old Madame Yi anxiously rubs her crutch, unsure what to do. I didn't mean to, I was just surprised by your appearance. Tell Grandma, who did this to you? Pursing that lip, I've set my eyes on a man and was beaten by his wife. The news was too enormous that it rang thunderously inside the old grandma's head. For a minute, old Madame Yi didn't even know what to say due to how dumbfounded she became. My granddaughter is so good, how could she fancy another woman's husband? Grandma, don't take it in the wrong way, the man is very outstanding. Hurrying to pull the old granny aside to one corner, a light of hatred filled those pupils as she whispered lies to the receiver, and it's not like he doesn't have feelings for me. My man is just too responsible, he's not willing to abandon his wife and child. And his wife, that woman is too brutish, that's why she beat me. I couldn't defend myself because I'm also partly at fault. But Grandma, you must go to Granduncle and have him get justice for me. If Uncle isn't willing to accept me as his daughter then at least have them help me with my marriage. A flicker of cunningness erupts from the girl's iris, if the sect leader himself gets involved then this will be set in stone. There's no way those two would dare disobey someone so powerful. Showing a tinge of guilt, the old granny grew hesitant, that man is too rigid, I don't think he would agree to this. No. Biting her lip. Grandma, the sect leader is your own brother-in-law. How can you and him not be on my side? What's more, that woman is nothing but a sultry hag who doesn't deserve such a fine man. You must get justice for me, for, old Madame Yi steals her heart, okay, I will go to him. Even if I have to use that bitch Li Jing's sister, name again, I will have him agree to our demands. In this world, how can one not help relative over outsiders? Brother-in-law isn't befuddled to such a degree. Unfortunately for her though, it appears Bai Chang Feng was fully intent on avoiding this dreaded shrew at all costs. No matter what she did or what she tried, the guards refuses to waver. Back inside the study. The old lord of the medicine sect was currently painfully rubbing his temple as he sighed helplessly. These people really are endless. Since you already said you won't take Yi Ying as your daughter, then it should have been the end of it. Why can't they understand when to back off? Son, how are things going with your investigation? And, when is she coming? Bai Chang Feng's voice sounded tense, his eyes whimpering with concern. Naturally Bai Zhanpeng would know who his old man was referring to. The messenger I sent returned with word that the girl is currently away from home. As to whether or not she is my sister's daughter, I can say with almost certainty now. From my investigation, that daughter of the Lan house did in fact know someone by the name of Bai Ning years ago, just that her family doesn't know if it's one and the same. Inhaling deeply, he continues with exasperated breath, though Ninger isn't with us anymore, but at least her blood can after so long. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Ever since he first laid eyes on Bai Yen, he has had an emotional yearning for the girl. It urged him, propelled him to get close to her. If that's not the effect of their blood being one and the same, then what else? Pine. The cup in the old lord's hand shatters as he dropped it from his hand. Perhaps it's due to the answer being so fitting to his heart, but the trickling tears could no longer be contained as he burst into a bellowing laugh. Jinger, wife, it must be you watching over us. Now your granddaughter will soon be at home. That is my granddaughter. No one can compare with her. Now my line will have a third generational heir. When can I meet my granddaughter, my son? Will she like a grandfather like me? Oh right, you said she has a child now, will her son like a great-grandfather like me? No matter what, we did remain oblivious to their existence for all these years. The elder's appearance looked no different from that of an insecure child, asking this and asking that. Father, she is a good child as well as her son. I'm sure they wouldn't hate you. That's good then. Heaving a sigh of relief, Bai Chang Feng rubs his hand nervously like an unsettled child. Then suddenly jerking up from his chair like he remembered something important. Oh no. I must prepare something for my granddaughter and great-grandson. What's your opinion? Should I hand over my medicine vault to them or my entire medicine sect instead? She's not lacking in medicinal ingredients, so you might as well hand over this place. Bai Zhanpeng's expression grew meaningful. The middle-aged man's intent was very simple. As long as he's free of the burden at home, then he could run off in search of his sister. Medicine sect. 4. Compared with his father who hailed from the medicine sect, Bai Zhanpeng's mother only came from a normal household. But due to her outstanding ability, the pair eventually managed to overcome all the odds and got together. A true love story of heart and tears. But when two families of unequal standings get together, there's bound to be an unbalance of power. That's why the late mistress of the great medicine sect would go to such extreme means of requesting the husband to take care of her maiden family. They are average and without power. Zhanpeng, I know it's because you think Inger is too outstanding, that's why you would say such things. If you don't want to recognize her as your goddaughter, then that's fine. I still have my grandson Minger. Though the child is a bit untamed, but he's a very filial boy. Unable to take a hint in his nephew's ridicule, the old granny continues on with her irritating rant. In any case, you have no children anyways, and I doubt you will ever find a partner with your ways. If we are going to let the medicine sect fall into the hands of an outsider, then it would be better to let my Minger inherit it. Don't worry, I can guarantee he will be a great lord and see to it that you be greatly cared for. As her words dragged on, the dastardlier it became where it's already considered treasonous at this point. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Unable to take it anymore, Bai Chang Feng finally snapped and smashed the teacup on the table. when have my position ever become something to be connived after by the likes of you? Don't think my patience has no limit. No matter how much I love your late sister, I will not permit others to have such thoughts while in my presence. If you test me again, even once, I will toss you out of my home. Brother-in-law. Old Madame Ye's expression also darkens as a result. I am only doing this for your sake. When you and Jeanping is gone after growing old, who will look after this place? I'm only offering you a solution by letting Ming'er help. Now you are turning my goodwill into an act of evil. Talk about repaying a good deed with a bad one. In a fit of rage, the old shrew stamps her feet and turned away for the outside, all the while showing that twisted face of hers. Damn you, Li Jing. If you had agreed to let your bitch of a daughter, Bai Ning, marry my son years ago, then none of this would be happening. So what if no one else would admit it? Bai Ning, that little bitch, has already disappeared for nearly 20 years, she must have died somewhere in the wild already. I can't let things continue like this. Brother-in-law is starting to distance himself from my family with each passing day. If the situation persists, it will just be a matter of time before my grandchildren and I get expelled from this place. I must make Jeanping take Ming'er as his son. Flickering a flash of sinisterly intent from her iris. Old Madame Yi picks up her pace for the intended destination. Jeanping, maybe. I will really have to forsake your mother's dying wish one day. Even after the shrew left, the old grandpa's complexion remains as bad as it could be based on how heavy his breath was wheezing. Pained by his father's guiltiness, the son here hurried to help soothe the senior's back. Oh father, there are things one can't do. As long as you know you've done your greatest, then there's nothing to fret. Over the years anyone can see the level of indulgence you instilled upon the Yi family. If mother knows what you've done for them in the heavens, then I'm sure she wouldn't blame you either when you make the final decision. I can only hope, my son. Heaving a long sigh, I'm tired, leave me and let me rest. When the time is right, don't forget to bring that girl to me. Yes father, I promise you. Giving his old man an affirmative nod, Bai Jeanping promptly left to carry out his plan. Now, alone again and with a peace of mind, Bai Changfeng then slowly strolled over to a closet where a precious portrait has been stored. Opening it, what came into view was a warm woman gently smiling back at him, raising the trickles of tears inside the heartbroken man. Xiaoqin's Little Revenge, 2, Oink. At the moment the pink piggy's face was being pinched by that fair hand of his owner, its eyes showing tears over the maltreatment. You are eating too much, piggy, hurry and spit the food out of your mouth. Mo Li Shang sternly orders, otherwise, you will have indigestion again. In light of his big bulging belly that made it difficult to even walk, the pink piggy refuses to relent and shakes his teary face in defiance. Spit it out, you spit it out right now. The teen's angry now. Firmly pressing down at the defiant pig's body, he pries open that gluttonous mouth and forcibly stuffed his fingers in there. Bai Xiaoqin originally wanted to go say, hi, from behind, but after seeing what was pulled out of that slobbering mouth, he was dumbfounded and froze in place. Oinky oink. Piggy's expression appeared very sad after that, its eyes constantly shifting over to the little chick slobbered in his saliva. If one didn't know any better, it would look like the teen did the most heinous crime to him. As for its poor victim, the chick was obviously scared beyond its wits based on how shaky those legs were. Unsteady and confused, the poor thing instinctively ran towards the outside in that fashion. If you eat live stuff again in the future, then I will sell you. Mo Li Shang puffs up his cheeks, threatening the little fella with his lolly face. Really, Piggy's appetite is getting bigger and bigger lately. If this continues, then I can't even afford to keep him. That did it. Stopping his whimpering cry upon that, the pink piggy remained sad in his eyes like a aggrieved child. Understanding he might have went a little overboard with that statement, Mo Li Shang scratches his head only to realize he's got company. Oh Xiaoqin, did you get scared? Piggy is just too gluttonous, so I can only resort to such means. If I don't take care of him, then he might really kill himself from overstuffing that belly. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. The piggy huffs a grunt in protest. I would rather die from overeating than to die from restraint. Suddenly, the image of that tender-looking little chick emerges within his head again, causing that mouth to drool for a second time. The little thing must be very tender. Look at how cute it's walking over there. Oh, how I want to eat it. Jolting up from the floor instantly, Mo Li Shang also showed a flushed face of anger. Who is it? Who dare to make trouble for Yen Yen? I think I remember she was called Yi Ying. Blinking his cute little eyes, she should be coming here today as well. Why don't we go look for her? Yes, let's do that. A gleam of frosty cold escapes the teen's pupil. Because of the Bai Yan's existence, the two men here are of one accord. But Little Rice on the other hand thought otherwise. After listening in on their dialogue, the baby tiger reflexively blurts out his protest, "But little master, the convention is about to begin. If mistress can't find you when it's time, then she will be very angry at us." Little Rice, pinching his lips into a flat line, Bai Xiachen swiftly calls out in warning. Apparently the baby tiger forgets something important. He's not supposed to talk in front of the public. Understanding the mistake and possible consequence of his actions just now, Little Rice hurries to look up at the teen with an unnerving unease. Xiachen's Little Revenge, 3, however Mo Li Shang's expression remains unchanged. Uncle Mo, Bai Xiachen quiets down his voice, aren't you finding it strange that Little Rice can talk? Nowadays there aren't many creatures outside of humankind capable of regular speech. Aside from the most powerful of existences within the abyss of the demon forest, it's almost non-existent. Why should it be strange? The teen blinked, clearly confused by that question. Piggy could also talk before, just that he's injured and lost the ability for now. No wonder. Heaving a sigh of great relief, Bai Xiachen raises a brilliant smile. Uncle Mo, please keep Little Rice's ability to speak a secret. I don't want to bring more trouble for mother because of this. Puckering that displeased lip, the baby boy obviously didn't like the childish suggestion. I didn't expect this from you, Uncle Mo, using such a childish trick on me. I'm not 3 anymore. I'm not going to do something like that anymore. However, giving it a second, he grins, I will still believe in Uncle Mo regardless. Now it was Mo Li Shang's turn to be taken back. His eyes shifting to his own pinky in puzzlement. I got called childish, but a child, this. Uncle Mo, let's go. Turning around, Bai Xiachen was ready to leave when the baby tiger bit against his sleeve pitifully. Little master, you really can't go, mistress will be angry. Perhaps it's to soothe his little friend's unease when patting down at that head, but the boy's words were damning. Don't worry, Little Rice, I will not do anything dangerous. When the time comes that mother asks, I will just say it was you who dragged me to go along. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. This literally made the poor tiger cry out in grievance. I just knew he will be like this. Any trouble will always be on my head. No, I can't let you go, little mast. In a flash of idea, the baby tiger wanted to yell for attention. Unfortunate for him, the boy's hand worked much faster than his vocals could and muffled that tongue by grabbing his throat. We better leave, Uncle Mo. If mother learns of this, then we can't go anymore. Dare to bully Yen Yen? Humph, I will show that woman what it means to cross us. Yoo-hoo, seeing how much of an agreement these two blasted fellas are, Little Rice could only mourn his own life. This really isn't my fault, mistress. I've already done my best to stop little master. At the same time, somewhere else in the venue, Yi Ying in her faint blue skirt was currently strolling through the area with an elder following her side. The only difference here was that the old man was a different one instead of that Yi Zhang. Then all of a sudden, the girl halts in her footstep as that brow locked up. Uncle Ling, how is the matter going? Don't worry, miss, I've already placed the young lord's ring into the woman's room. When the time comes, we can begin spreading the rumor about the love affair and use the item as proof. The old senior known as Yi Ling answers respectfully like an elder and a servant. Showing a sly grin, this cannot be blamed on me. If she had only listened to my suggestion from the start, then why would we be going through all this trouble? Shame though, she violated my order and even my grand uncle is refusing to help me. Xiaoqin's little revenge, for, if that's the case then I could only rely on myself. Miss, my older brother's illness. Is there really no other way? Yi Ling frowned and asked the lady. I have already tasked those elders of the medicine sect to take a look at Uncle Zhang. Right now we have no idea why he's suffering so painfully. Making a reluctant sigh, Yi Ying continues, there is no other way. We can only wait until Di Tsang becomes my man. By then we can have him return Uncle Zhang to his normal state since he's the one who made the move. Bump. It was then that a small little figure came smashing over, hitting the unsuspecting lady in full swing. As a result of this, Yi Ying not only staggered backwards, her expression also shifted negatively at the little steam bun's identity. If not for the multiple gazes coming her way, she would have smacked the boy away in a direct slap across the cheeks. It's you. Masking her irritation, she puts on a surprised tone, are you okay? How can you be so careless? Fortunately the one you hit is me, if it was any other adult then they might have made things difficult for you. Following that statement, the gazes are now shifted over to Bai Xiaoqin instead, their eyes accusing and reprimanding. How unexpected, to think this child is so poorly tutored that he would rampage around the venue. Thankfully it's Miss Yi Ying who caught him. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Climbing up from the ground by now, Bai Xiaoqin wouldn't stop shivering as he bit his lip, those tears flowing like a waterfall. Sorry. I didn't mean it, I just wanted to ask you to let my father go. What? Let him go? What is going on? The crowds of people all fell into a startled shock, their allegation transforming into a questioning one. What do you mean by that? Darkening in her expression, Yi Ying coldly asks. Considering how persuasive that teary face expression was, the crowds of people gathered here today instantly got pulled into the story. Their minds dismissing the fact of how unbelievable the story truly was at its core. What are you babbling about? Blindsided by the outrageous claim, Yi Ying didn't know how to absorb the content. Yi Ming is my real blood brother, how can I have a baby with my own brother? Moreover, the one I want to marry is Di Tsang. When did I ever demand he become my male concubine? If I was truly that unruly, wouldn't the world ridicule me to death? What is this blasted child talking about, damn it? Kid, if you keep talking nonsense then watch how I will smack that lips of yours. Infuriated now, the girl threatens menacingly. Trembling even harder at that threat, grievance now filled the boy's face. Perhaps Bai Xiaoqin really did get frightened by those words, but it's unlikely. You not only want to take away my father, now you also want to snatch me away to be your child se. Oh my, that is. How can she do something so? One of the onlookers present today started to mutter something into his peer's ear, directing the opinion into forbidden grounds. Yes, it is, Bai Xiaoqin cries out in an extremely miserable manner. I heard everything from outside the door that day. Mother is already about to lose father, now you also want to snatch me away from her. How can you do something so cruel? How can you drive my mother into a corner, alone and without husband and son? Ow, I don't want to leave with an old witch like you. Yi Ying's face finally crumbled into a distorted mess. Heaving a heavy breath into her chest, she expels her restraint in an attempt to nab at the insolent brat. Acting all around, 1, wah. Yi Ying's hand didn't even touch the boy yet when Bai Xiaoqin burst into tears. In front of this heartfelt appearance, no sane person could possibly bear to remain indifferent. I really don't understand why someone would be willing to move against such a lovely child. This is truly and utterly heartless. You little. The girl's inner heart surged with anger as she forced herself to smile. I think you must be misunderstanding something. I only want to take you to a quieter place to talk. After all, there are many people around, so it wouldn't be good if they misunderstand you. Aunties, uncles, big brother and big sisters, please don't let her take me away. I don't want to be a child. Now that's all the crowd needed to push them over the edge. They've long felt uncomfortable to witness a child being forced into something so illicit, yet the boy himself still felt the need to remain polite in his manner of speech. I remembered now, a bystander suddenly exclaims from the side, the evaluation of Miss Yi Ying may be excellent over the years, but there has never been any woman around her. The people are always males and she seemed to be very much enjoying the fact. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Yes, and, if it was replaced by the average person, they would certainly have a change in face after being exposed by the little guy. The fact that she's still able to smile so willingly must mean she's a very deep-thoughted woman. To be able to attend the alchemy convention meant they are no fools. Just a bit of hint and a bit of insight was more than enough to connect the dots for those in attendance. Of course, it would have been a different story if the character here was the lady of the medicine sect, but it's not. Yi Ying's only a distant relative of the current old lord. Even if they do reprimand her, the hosts themselves wouldn't do anything, especially when this said relative was the unsupportive type who's done nothing to contribute aside from leeching around. Now, no longer able to keep up that smiling facade, the woman turns bitter and signals her follower to move and grab the impudent brat before more damages could be done. Unfortunately for her, a third person had rushed over to cut into the fray in that split second. "Uncle, how come you are here?" Still leaking tears of pity on that face, Bai Xiachen sounded nervous with unease. "Didn't I tell you not to come? If you are also taken away by this horrible witch, then mother really would be all alone then." Showing a resentful and enraged face, Mo Li Shang looked like a determined warrior ready to meet his end. "I would rather die than to go with this old witch." "You must do the same, my dear Xiachen. Don't worry, if anything our family can start over in the afterlife. I will never leave sister or you, okay?" Acting all around, 2, Uncle Xiachen. The two turns to hug each other, crying their hearts out in appearance and putting on the act of the century. Naturally this aggravated Yi Ying to no ends. Shaking all over from the act, the girl glares dagger at the two bastards trying to frame her. "I still have time. There's no one else from the medicine sect here. Even if I remove them now to somewhere else, I can still cover it up without anyone to prove it. Uncle Ling." The girl roars out to her follower, indicating him to move before this scene gets further out of hand. "Tell everyone this instant that your story is all made up, otherwise I'm going to kill you for the treachery of today's deed." The senior draws his blade, aiming straight at the teen and child still crying across from themselves. "Arg, damn this Yi Ling. I only wanted him to drag them away, not do something like this. He's so useless." Sure enough, the alchemists whom came to attend the conference were all frowning openly with contempt now. They didn't expect someone to be so dumb to openly threaten to take one's life while in their presence. "Miss Yi Ying, although you are a distant relative of the current lord of the medicine sect, but that doesn't mean you can just take others' life as you please. The old lord of this great sect has always been an upright person all his life. I suggest you rethink your actions lest you want to destroy his reputation by your own hands." "Yes, I concur with that. When have the medicine sect fallen into a state where they are openly bullying the weak? Oh dear, look at how terribly sad their crying voices are. Just listening to it is making me want to tear up as well." The last comment obviously hailed from a madam. For the female sex, it's always been easier to win them over using their motherly instinct, especially when the subjects are a young lolly-looking teen and a cute little child. "Uncles and aunties," Bai Xiachen climbs up with his tears still leaking, "this isn't the fault of the medicine sect, I implore you all not to involve the innocent. My only hope is that this witch would stop trying to tear my family apart." Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Oh, what a sensible child he is. A female bystander heaves a sigh, wondering what sort of mother could produce such an outstanding son. Don't worry, child, with so many of us here today we will definitely not let your family be separated. However, the fact that you are here means your family is also here to attend the alchemy convention. Towards that over-exaggerative proclamation, the crowds of bystanders didn't hold any negative opinion for it, rather it only increased their goodwill due to the statement. After all, it's normal for a child to look towards their parents as the best, there's nothing wrong with that view. Miss Yi Ying, the woman in turn shifted her attention over to the subject of condemnation. Today is the alchemy convention. Aren't you worried about disgracing your elders by doing something so outlandish? Humph. Twisting her expression, the girl herself only huffed a grunt. Uncle Ling, we're leaving. Just you wait, you brat, I will get you back for this one day. Yes, milady. Firing a heavy glare at the teen child as well, the senior left in turn despite his unwillingness to leave things as it was. Getting the results he wanted, Bai Shuchen finally revealed that momentary sly grin of his. He's a fox, a true master of deception. Waving at the crowd, he says his goodbye like the perfect closing of a show. Yi Ying, too, is Bai Zhanpeng looking for us, or is it your family's lady? Faintly wrinkling her temple, Bai Yan asks. Towards the inquisitiveness of the woman, Yi Zeng only sneered as his eyes revealed the true contemptuous nature he has of her. This lady, Lord Bai may not even know who you are, so of course it would be my lady. Who is Bai Zhanpeng? He is the second-generational lord of the medicine sect. How could a normal person ever think about approaching such an esteemed figure? Oh, since it's not the man himself who wants a meeting, then it's only normal for Bai Yan's reception to fan down as well. Showing a face that's lost interest, I do not know your lady, so you can go back. This girl, pulling down his face, Yi Zeng's attitude promptly got rude. My lady is the medicine sect's people. Aren't you worried about the consequences for refusing us? Anyone would know by now the uncalled-for visitor comes with ill intent at this point. What perplexes Bai Yan here was why. It's not like she had any interaction with the members of the medicine sect aside from Bai Zhanpeng. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. So the medicine sect likes to force others against their will. Curving that lip into a mocking grin, her eyes confronts the elder head-on. You. Yi Zeng was ready to lose that facade after being ridiculed. However, before he could do so, a blast of oppressive aura had come flying at him and sending his old body shooting out like a twirling hurricane. Who can force my wife if she's unwilling? Scram before I let you understand what it means to cross her. Like a blade in that threat, the threatening figure that's known as Di Tsang steps in to make his claim. Ah woof. Coughing hard to throw up several mouthfuls of blood, Yi Zeng's condition wasn't doing so well as he laid there on the ground. Considering how ghastly white his complexion looked, it's obvious he's suffered some heavy internal injuries from that attack. Uncle Zeng, crisp like a spring breeze, the soft melodic voice that suddenly cuts in originates from the rear. Miss, by now the downstairs have quieted down as well, their eyes focused in on that glamorous woman in green. Isn't that Miss Yi Ying? How come she's here? Since there's no third-generational heir to the medicine sect yet, most younglings are currently targeting the closest thing to it, and that was Yi Ying, a distant relative of the current lord. Uncle Zeng, what are you doing? Showing a faintly annoyed face, Yi Ying apparently wasn't very pleased with her follower's performance. I asked you to invite these two guests over, why are you showing such rude behavior instead? Hurry and apologize to them. Dumbfounded at first over the order, Yi Zeng nevertheless knew what the lady was doing. Making an unwilling bow, apologies, I've been rude. Now that she's salvaged the situation, the one known as Yi Ying then shifts her attention to the two inside the room. Please overlook this occasion, he did not know better. May I come in and have a cup of tea while we talk? Considering how soft and tender that smiling face was, no one should be able to refuse such a beauty. However, Di Tsong's the exception. Darkening in his face until it's a gloomy storm, my wife doesn't like associating with strangers. In short, he meant scram. Not only did the uninvited girl not get angry, Yi Ying even smiled at Bai Yan like a confident peacock. First allow me to introduce myself. My name is Yi Ying. Miss, I'm assuming you are here to attend the alchemy convention, am I correct? I can help you with that and even introduce you to an elder of our sect. I'm sure with my word you would be able to get some pointers during your time here, how about it? As tempting as that proposal would be for others, Bai Yan acted like she didn't hear a thing. Stretching out her limbs while lazing around in the man's embrace, she's no different from a sloth at the moment. Di Tsong, that face of yours really is troublesome, always attracting these pests over when they are not wanted. Acting all around, for Uncle Mo, following the disappearance of his friend's fleeting back, Bai Xiachen then shifts his gaze back over to the teen. I really like you, do you like me as well? That face couldn't be any more friendly and innocent as he spoke initially. Mo Lishang was rather stunned by the boy's proactive initiative, nevertheless, he composes himself to answer, of course. Do you really like me as well, Xiachen? Aha, I really do. Giving an earnest nod as confirmation, I've always wanted another uncle. Why don't Uncle Mo become my real uncle? Looking at the big, watery eyes of the little steam bun, Mo Lishang's brain didn't even need to think and nodded without forethought, yes, I will be your uncle. If Uncle Mo becomes my uncle, then he would become Mother's younger brother. That means in the future he won't be able to threaten Batty Father's position. What's more, we will then be another step closer to going into the demon realm. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Oh crap. As if suddenly recalling something important, the teen exclaims out of nowhere. Uncle, are you regretting it? Bai Xiachen mutters pitifully, his eyes showing grievance. No, it's not. I seem to have forgotten about Piggy. Not far from the main aisle, a certain pink piggy was currently trying hard to gain the attention of the public by crying and wiping those tears with a handkerchief. Sadly for him though, the surrounding crowds doesn't seem to be all that interested and soon dispersed. Where is the people? Why are they all gone? Did I not perform up to standard? Hey, don't leave. Oh wait. Where is Master? At the same time over at Mo Lishang's end, the teen was showing an annoyed yet apologetic face. Xiachen, wait here for me, okay? Don't run around, I will first go find Piggy and come back. Damn it, I actually forgot something as important as this. Piggy is so timid, he must be so scared right now. Okay, hurrying a nod with that little head, don't worry about me, uncle, I can wait here while you go look for Piggy. You are so good, Xiachen, I'm going now. Giving the boy a rub on the head, Mo Lishang then dashed towards the direction in which he came. Now, alone since both of his companions are gone, Bai Xiachen could only kick the nearby rocks around due to how bored he was. You are Xiachen. Just then, an ecstatic voice suddenly came from behind. Grandpa Zhanpeng. Blinking his eyes in surprise, the little steam bun didn't expect to see this familiar person here at this time. Regarding Bai Zhanpeng, the boy did have a good impression of the handsome man due to him staying at their home during the treatment. But now, thanks to the influence of Yi Ying's distasteful deeds during the past few days, Bai Xiachen's fondness had dipped to a new low. Grandfather Zhanpeng, I should go find mother now, so bye-bye. In the heart of the boy, no one could be more important than Bai Yan. Therefore, he holds no remorse for humiliating Yi Ying, just that it meant he would be in a dilemma when facing this man. The imminent start of the convention. 1. Xiachen, you don't want to see me? Hurt to the point where his heart aches terribly, Bai Zhanpeng asks with sadness in his voice. No, it's not like that, the boy hurries to reply after seeing the man's reaction. I also like Grandpa Zhanpeng a lot. Then why do you want to leave as soon as you saw me? Not answering for the longest time, Bai Xiachen took a good minute before he could make up his mind. Grandpa Zhanpeng, I won't leave, don't worry. Xiachen, your mother, is she also here as well? Bai Zhanpeng hurries to ask. Blinking his eyes at the inquiry, Bai Xiachen faintly nods in confirmation. Mother is at the main avenue. Do you want to meet her? It's absolutely true the man here wanted to meet his niece before knowing she's here, but now that he's confronting with the truth, it appears Bai Zhanpeng was starting to get the cold feet instead. What would she do if I tell her right away about our relationship? Maybe she would take it as me trying to use her or something bad. No. I can't let the small little bit of good feelings I built in her eyes to be tarnished over something mediocre like impatience. I must come up with a way to prove our identity with father first. Also, it will also avoid those other people within the medicine sect from saying those irresponsible remarks. The man's head churned with ideas, his eyes nervous and unsure when meeting the baby boy's eye. Xiachen, I like to ask you a question. Let's say if. What if your mother suddenly discovers she has another grandfather, would she accept him? Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Well, that's of course if this grandfather likes me a lot. Blinking his big innocent eyes, Bai Xiachen tilts his head like he's a tad confused by the strange question. Mother would surely like him as well if that's the case. Bai Zhanpeng became rather speechless over this answer. It's too straightforward. Xiachen, your great-grandfather would surely like you, just that your mother, I have a way. Bai Zhanpeng's eye flashed with glee. As long as Xiachen you help me get a close intimate object from your mother, even a strand of hair will do, then I can do that. Will you help Grandpa Zhanpeng in the task? Even if the man himself was already sure of Bai Yan's identity to a certain degree, but merely recognizing the girl back into the family wouldn't be enough. His main objective lies in gifting the entire medicine sect to the girl. In that case, he must stuff up the mouths of those old-timers first using a special method. Blood mixing won't prove anything, he knows that much. Really? The boy's eye lit up as well. Then Grandpa Zhanpeng can help find my mother's relative? I can only give it a try. In addition, this is a secret between us. Don't tell your mother first. Rubbing that little head, the man's expression shined with gentle warmth. Okay. Giving a serious nod, Bai Xiachen then became troubled while he bit his lip. But Grandpa Zhanpeng, would you, let's say if your daughter was bullied by someone, would you hate those people? You must get justice for me. First taking a casual sip from her tea, Bai Yan then revealed a shallow smile at the impudent girl. What do you think? Then I will not beat around the bush. Taking a seat of her own volition, Yi Ying cluelessly starts making a demand. Don't you think you should invite me to a drink as well? Without manners, the girl went ahead to make a grab for the other cup on the table. There are only 2 cups in the room in total. Aside from the one being used already, there's only one other remaining on the table, meaning it belongs to a certain silver-haired man. Naturally Yi Ying knew that point, that's why her lips were showing a marvelous smile like the spring's breeze at being able to share the same cup as that man. However, just when the girl's about to make contact with the cup, Bai Yan had grabbed it off of the tray and smashed it onto the ground. Sorry, my hand is slipped. Still showing her shallow smile like it's nothing's happened in light of that blatant act of rudeness, the enchanting woman then brought out a handkerchief for her foe like someone pitying a beggar. Miss, you wouldn't be here for my child's father, are you? Hand slip. Che. Sneering in her heart, Yi Ying wanted to laugh at the competition over her lack of openness. Suppressing the inner rage, she got straight to the point. That's right, I am here for that man. I am not the hypocritical type, so I will admit it in front of you. I fell in love with him after the first time I laid eyes on him. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. If it was the average person, one would certainly fall into a panic when a love rival comes knocking at their door. However, unfazed and glowing stronger than ever, the enchanting woman that's known as Bai Yan has never been known to back down from a challenge. Knowing she's messed up after not get a reaction, Yi Ying now clues in on her own folly. She's underestimated the woman. Lady, sucking in a deep breath, she continues to use her calm voice. Loving a person isn't about possession, it's to think about what's good for the other half. I'm sure you know about my position within the medicine sect. If you release him, then it may not be necessarily a bad thing. Chuckling, if you want to get him, then let me offer you a good solution. Just go find him, why bother coming to see me? If so, wouldn't that give him the notoriety of throwing away his wife and child? Showing a frown, Yi Ying turns all aggressive like she's spouting justice. How can you bear to have him shoulder such a bad name? So, are you claiming you have a better solution? Though still smiling, Bai Yan's iris had gotten cold like a vicious predator now. I do, trying hard to hide that nefarious grin from her face. Miss, I'm sure you love your husband very much, so you would do anything for him, am I right? Now this got quite interesting. Not speaking at all, she awaits what this impudent girl wants to say. I have an older brother, only slightly older than you. If you are willing to sacrifice yourself, then I can match the two of you together. At the time, don't you believe the outcome would be better suited for everyone? Now this was just downright hilarious, causing Bai Yan to spill tears of mockery at the foe. So, your meaning is to have me collude with your brother first, this way the world could sympathize with Di Tsang's act of abandoning me and my son. By then, you will step in to show your love, allowing the world to praise you about your kind-heartedness. You must get justice for me, too. Bai Yan's words may be blunt and direct, however, it also pointed out the impudent girl's real intent with no wiggle room for excuses. It's true my meaning is like that, but why is it that I've been turned into a heinous witch coming out of this woman's mouth? Yi Ying furrows that brow like she's perplexed by the situation. Am I not doing this for the sake of us both? The man would immediately become extraordinary after marriage, and this woman would also transform from a chicken into a peacock by marrying my brother. And the payment? Merely a title of being a wretched wife who cheated behind her husband's back. What's wrong with that? Compared to the benefits, anyone would know what to choose in this case. Lady, the girl's expression darkened somewhat. She wanted to say more after that momentary silence, but it appears the opposition was done listening. Yi Ying, your plan is very good indeed, the benefits are all yours and the bad are dumped onto another. However, unfortunately for you, I am not a person who would be taken advantage of. Lady. Going cold in her complexion as well, I never thought you are such a person. Your man must have been blinded. If it was me in your position, then I would have gladly obliged this request, it's all for his sake. If one doesn't even know how to make sacrifices, then how can one talk about love? You do not deserve him. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Oh, is that your opinion? Bai Yan wanted to laugh but held it in to form a smirk instead. As it so happens, he actually needs a favor at this very moment. It's not difficult at all for you, in fact. All it requires of you is to scram out of here. Would you be willing to oblige? From green to gleaming red, Yi Ying's facade finally crumbles to reveal her true menacing nature. Don't push your luck. Not going to be trampled while on her own turf, Bai Yan has gotten up from her chair. Slowly strolling over to the girl in question, the woman's aura increased exponentially until it's almost oppressive. I have already been very kind to you out of consideration for Bai Zhanpeng's sake, otherwise, you wouldn't have even made it one step into my room. In addition, I have something else to tell you. Halting in her footstep, she sneers at the impudent girl who's glaring fire. Firstly, I am not stupid enough to sacrifice myself for someone whom I believe is not worthy of me. Why should I as a woman sacrifice myself for the sake of a man just because the world deems it worthy? Secondly, I will not relinquish my man to another if I have chosen him. Nor would I believe he would betray me for another. Thirdly, the cup just now is used by my little pet to drink water, but my pet is too clean and your breath is too dirty, that's why I smashed it. You are too polluted to taint his stuff. In order to prove Bai Yan's claim, Little Rice immediately followed up with a meow sound of his own to show off the disgusted opinion he had of the girl in green. "You, impudent wench. No matter how good of a facade she has, no matter how good of a control freak she was, there's no way Yi Ying could remain unfazed after that insult." Her voice was downright screaming like a woman yelling out at the market. "You came to the medicine sect to attend the alchemy convention. You want to see the sorts of methods I have to make it so you can't enter it? Okay, I am waiting." Smirking with ridicule at the ignorant fool, Bai Yan lazily leans against the room pillar next to herself like she didn't have a care in the world. A blatant act of dismissing someone, which clearly worked based on how receptively livid Yi Ying was. Humph. Huffing a heavy grunt, it took a good minute for the girl in green to recompose herself. "Since you've said it to such a degree, then I won't continue to linger in your presence. But remember this, I will definitely make you regret today's decision. In addition, your man, he will definitely become mine." That said, she promptly stomps away without looking back. "Hold on." Unconsciously, a smug grin escapes the girl upon hearing the voice from behind. "What, regret it?" Unfortunately for the impudent fool that's known as Yi Ying, her words didn't even have a chance to finish before a flying kick of a foot landed right smack into her chest, sending that body flying out across the air like a rice sack. Until the very last second, the girl still couldn't believe what she was experiencing. The only thing she could see was Bai Yan's peerless contour slowly shrinking from view and the disbelieving fact that she's been assaulted. The imminent start of the convention, for, not long after the little stir, an elder soon took the stage after most of the attendees have arrived to participate. It is Elder CEO Wang. Elder CEO Wang is one of the few 7th-grade alchemists within the medicine sect. To think someone so prestigious would be in charge of overseeing the alchemy conference today. Though many were surprised by the new entry, but more than that, their eyes were filled with awe and worship instead. That's a 7th-grade alchemist master. Most wouldn't ever reach such a height in their entire lifetime. Elder CEO Wang, just as the prestigious elder got partway up the stage, Yi Ying's shallow voice had come from behind. "I was just wondering, mind if I make a request from you? I know I am inexperienced, but may I know if I can be the host instead this time?" Not only was this girl the Lord's distant relative, he's also heard of the rumor regarding the young Lord Bai Zhanpeng taking the girl as his daughter. By then, perhaps the entire medicine sect would be inherited by the lass. Faced with such a prospect, how could he dare oppose such figure? Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. That's wonderful. Yi Ying raises a smirky grin. "This time our medicine sect invited only the capable. There are no idling individuals among its ranks, I believe. Therefore, it's safe to assume each sect in power came with a whole team as well as their chief alchemist. In order to avoid wasting time, anyone without an invitation or team should be excluded from participating in the event." The girl's smile deepened further after giving away her intent. She's investigated already prior to today. Bai Yan only came with her family and no one else. If that's the case, her new rules should automatically exclude the woman. That's what you get for going against me time and time again. I like to see how you will return home and explain yourself to your sect. It must be said, any who could come participate are outstanding individuals with either a certain level of background or skill. To forcibly kick any of them out meant it's a direct offense to both the individual and the Lord himself. Elder CEO Wang, returning to a harmless smile, "I am also doing this for the sake of the convention. After all, there's only so many days for everyone to go over the Dan pill recipes we prepared. In order to avoid wasting energy on the useless, we should just remove this variable altogether. Besides, the whole point of the alchemy convention is to gather the power of the masses, is it not? What could a single individual possibly have to offer?" Though a tad reluctant to agree with this idea, CEO Wang nevertheless nodded his head. "Miss Yi Ying is very reasonable. Very well, each participating faction can leave behind 10 alchemists to attend, any more or any less shall be omitted. He's got the news already when the messenger came to him, that the Lord himself wouldn't come attend the convention. Therefore, even if he does go along with Yi Ying's request, none would ask about it afterwards. What's more, he's only doing this for the sake of the medicine sect, there should be no room to question his decision later. You must get justice for me, for, old Madame Yi steals her heart. Okay, I will go to him. Even if I have to use that bitch Li Jing's sister name again, I will have him agree to our demands. In this world, how can one not help relative over outsiders? Brother-in-law isn't befuddled to such a degree. Unfortunately for her though, it appears Bai Chang Feng was fully intent on avoiding this dreaded shrew at all costs. No matter what she did or what she tried, the guards refuses to waver. Back inside the study. The old lord of the medicine sect was currently painfully rubbing his temple as he sighed helplessly, these people really are endless. Since you already said you won't take Yi Ying as your daughter, then it should have been the end of it, why can't they understand when to back off? Smiling wryly as well, Bai Zhanpeng attempts to soothe his old man's woes. Father, you don't have to see them. Even if your feelings for mother is deep, it still doesn't excuse them for their unending nagging. No one should put up with them. Son, how are things going with your investigation? And, when is she coming? Bai Chang Feng's voice sounded tense, his eyes whimpering with concern. Naturally Bai Zhanpeng would know who his old man was referring to. The messenger I sent returned with word that the girl is currently away from home. As to whether or not she is my sister's daughter, I can say with almost certainty now. From my investigation, that daughter of the Lan House did in fact know someone by the name of Bai Ning years ago, just that her family doesn't know if it's one and the same. Inhaling deeply, he continues with exasperated breath, though Ninger isn't with us anymore, but at least her blood can after so long. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Ever since he first laid eyes on Bai Yen, he has had an emotional yearning for the girl. It urged him, propelled him to get close to her. If that's not the effect of their blood being one and the same, then what else? Pine. The cup in the old lord's hand shatters as he dropped it from his hand. Perhaps it's due to the answer being so fitting to his heart, but the trickling tears could no longer be contained as he burst into a bellowing laugh. Jinger, wife, it must be you watching over us. Now your granddaughter will soon be at home. That is my granddaughter. No one can compare with her. Now my line will have a third-generational heir. By this stage Bai Chang Feng's very old hands were shaking. In fact, the trembling was so bad that he couldn't even manage to get a grip on the second teacup. When can I meet my granddaughter, my son? Will she like a grandfather like me? Oh right, you said she has a child now, will her son like a great-grandfather like me? No matter what, we did remain oblivious to their existence for all these years. The elder's appearance looked no different from that of an insecure child, asking this and asking that. Father, she is a good child as well as her son. I'm sure they wouldn't hate you. That's good then. Heaving a sigh of relief, Bai Chang Feng rubs his hand nervously like an unsettled child. Then suddenly jerking up from his chair like he remembered something important, oh no. I must prepare something for my granddaughter and great-grandson. What's your opinion, should I hand over my medicine vault to them or my entire medicine sect instead? She's not lacking in medicinal ingredients, so you might as well hand over this place. Bai Zhanpeng's expression grew meaningful. The middle-aged man's intent was very simple. As long as he's free of the burden at home, then he could run off in search of his sister. She is the disciple of the Holy Land, too. Rubbing her chin, Bai Yen looked like she's contemplating something. We can just say the medicine sect bullied us and kept us from attending. If your grandchiefess want to make a ruckus for that, then just let them come in person. Yi Ying immediately sneered with contempt after hearing that outrageous comment. Who would dare come make trouble at the medicine sect? How laughable. This woman is really too arrogant. Okay mother, let's go home then, I don't want to give this old witch an opportunity to snatch me away. Absolutely adorable in his voice, the little steam bun looked nothing like the little devil that he was not long ago. Pity though, Yi Ying has already become the goddaughter of the young lord here. No matter how sympathetic they are of the mother and son, they had neither the influence nor power to stop the outcome. Now, without any more hindrance or care, Bai Yen slowly turned away with her son in hand. She looked nothing like someone facing defeat, rather that of a winner in how calm and proud her demeanor was. Then all of a sudden, her eyes narrowed as the contour of a handsome young man's face came into sight. Yen Yen. Filled with excitement in that voice, the youngster who owned the voice quickly made a dash for that enchanting red figure in an attempt to give her a hearty hug. Unfortunately for this newcomer, the only response he got was a foot in front of his face and sending him flying as a result. Oh Yen Yen, you are still the same as before, always so cruel. Landing on his ass, the youngster's eye tears up over the horrible treatment. Oh, she is so cruel. Ever since I lost to her in that contest and became her subordinate, she's never seen me again. Even worse, she just dumped a bunch of people in my hands and told me to train them. How can someone be so rude and not caring? Oh wait, that's not quite right, Yen Yen did come see me a couple of months ago and taught me a lesson in alchemy. Uncle Wenru, it's been a long time. Waving at the youngster, Bai Xiachen smiles kindly at the poor man. According to his memory, the little steambun was only 3 years old when they met, a baby still. In a blink of an eye, the little kid has grown up to be a preteen. Wenru, what are you doing here? Raising a smile, Bai Yen shakes her head at this silly subordinate of hers. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Oh, I was going to find you and give you the invitation letter. But when I went to the flower brothel and asked around, Hualuo told me you were gone, that's why I rushed over to the medicine sect after hearing you were around. Taking out the invitation letter from his pocket, Wenru readily hands over the item to Bai Yen, thus attracting the attention of everyone nearby. This is the invitation for the convention. Sounding unsure, Elder CEO Wang sharply swept his gaze over to the reddish figure. Why do you have 2 invitation slips? 2 invitation letter. This is impossible. The medicine sect would never make such a blunder and would most certainly not hand a single person 2 invites. If so, there's only one possibility then. The woman here, she did not bring an invitation letter with her in the first place and secretly snuck inside without authorization. Giving a shrug at the senior's questioning gaze, Bai Yen also found it surprising. How strange, the invite slip I have is from my shifus, so who sent me this one then? Suddenly, a certain name came jumping out at the bottom of her consciousness, Bai Zhanpeng. She is the disciple of the Holy Land. 3. If Bai Zhanpeng didn't know I was a member of the Holy Land, then this is all justifiable. Yen Yen, did I do something wrong? Blinking his eyes, Wenru asks in an innocent tone. It's all right, I'm merely caught off guard that I had another invite slip. No matter though. Showing a cold smile, Bai Yen gives it a second before continuing, even if they sent me more of this, I'm already past it and would rather leave. As soon as her words came out, she was already walking forward again with her son. The voice faint and uninterested, Wenru, let's go. Befuddled by the strangeness, the youngster hurried to catch up. Did someone bully you and Xiachen? If so, then tell me, I will beat them up for you. No need, someone else will naturally come settle the bill once they learned of me being unable to attend. Showing a grin, Bai Yen dismisses the offer and continued onward. Hold it. Just as Bai Yen was about to leave, a cold hollering voice stops her from behind. Miss, you can't go. Is there something? You coming without an invitation is our medicine sect's fault, but you must stay behind to help with our investigation regardless. Elder CEO Wang's attitude was stern and unyielding, evident of how serious he was about all this. Did you not hear? I have 2 invitations. Ho ho, the senior dismisses the idea with a laugh. How could that be? There's no way we would make such a mistake. Miss, I hope you. Before his last words could even finish, the target of his restriction has already pulled out an invitation from her pocket as well as the one from Wenru. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. I'm returning your invite slips. Son, let's go home before these people get annoying. At the same time, 2 perfectly fine flat objects were thrown in front of his face, the golden glinted words burning the elder's eye in doing so. For that split second, his breathing literally stopped as his heart pounded away. CEO Wang could see it clearly, there's no illusion. One was just an ordinary invite slip they sent to the regular powers, but the second one that was pulled out of the woman's pocket had the words of "Holy" directly imprinted on the surface. Holy Land, why the sudden change and why a young disciple at that? Elder CEO Wang. Noticing the panic in the senior's eye, Yi Ying bites down on her own lips and asked, what happened? Oh crap. At this time the senior could care less what Yi Ying wanted. Seeing how Bai Yan and her sons about to leave, he promptly picked up the invite slips and made a hard dash at the 2. Miss, please wait. Stopping for a second time, Bai Yan's tone grew impatient and irritated. I've already returned the invite slips, what else do you want? You can stay. Flushing in embarrassment, CEO Wang blurts this out. This girl's the disciple of the Holy Land. Even if she's the most insignificant of the kind, she's still the representative for that power. How ironic, I nearly expelled the disciple from the Holy Land when I should be catering to her every need. Making a sneer after seeing the slips in the elder's hand, Bai Yan's voice remains cold and indifferent. Apologies, but I've lost interest in this alchemy convention. You, turning slightly white in his face, CEO Wang wanted to slap the girl at the rude answer. Don't this girl know when to stop? I've already lowered myself to such a degree. She is the disciple of the Holy Land, miss, you going back like this wouldn't be very good. Aren't you afraid of being blamed by your elders? Oh, Bai Yan replies in a mild tone, but I'm still not interested in this convention. Then what would it take to make you stay? CEO Wang choked. Still, he said what must be said. It was hard-won the senior no doubt, but his words were like a bomb, raising waves among the crowds who were stunned by the meaning. Just now, didn't he want to expel the woman out? What's going on, why ask her to stay all of a sudden? Of course, Bai Yan would notice the foe's expression. Making a smirky grin, have her beg me. Miss Bai, you are too much. Turning green at the demand, Yi Ying hurries to seek help. Elder CEO, you wouldn't be a dotard, right? You are sure of this? Squeezing his hand into a fist, CEO Wang's gaze flickered with a flash of coldness. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. If the medicine sect holds no sincerity, then that's fine, I can just take my leave. Leaving nothing but a fleeting smile, Bai Yan once again turns away. Fine. Drawing in a deep heavy breath, the elder shifts his sight onto the source of all this mess. Miss Yi Ying, ask her to stay. What? Widening her eyes in dismay, Yi Ying couldn't believe what she's hearing. She is a disciple of the Holy Land. If we were to drive her away, then it's the same as face-slapping the other side. Once the matter returns to their side, it would inevitably cause discord among both sides. Bang! Like the foolish girl, the entire venue had also fallen into an eerie silence over the news. Elder CEO Wang, she is really a disciple of the Holy Land? Yi Ying faintly asks, her skin pale and lifeless. Heaving a long breath at the question, the invitation is indeed the one we sent to the Holy Land. The fact that she's carrying it is proof, there's no mistake. The tides have changed once again, shifting over to the losing side following words of this prestigious elder. Originally a lot of the attendees were feeling sorry for Bai Yan and her son, but now, it's simply shocks at the incredible news. Miss Yi Ying, the woman came on behalf of the Holy Land. Understanding the unwillingness in Yi Ying's eye, the senior hurried to persuade the girl by lowering his voice. If it becomes known that we expelled someone like that and the Lord learns of this, your granduncle would surely be outraged. Biting that lip, the shuddering girl didn't answer and continued to hold her ground. But, the fact that the Holy Land would send her alone and without any masters to escort is proof that she's merely a person of no importance. Perhaps this is the Holy Land's way of showing respect to us since they've repeatedly rejected the invite before. So, her background and identity couldn't possibly be more noble than yours. The last sentence there was what Yi Ying wanted to hear the most. One was the most insignificant of existent while the other was the distant relative of the medicine sect. It's obvious which one would be more noble in terms of status quo at the end of the day. Humph, just you wait, I will return this favor one day. The wretched girl vows inwardly, swearing she would get revenge. Miss Bai. Squeezing her feministic fingers into a crunching ball, Yi Ying forces a rigid smile as she made a deep bow. It was my fault in being inconsiderate and not noticing your identity as the Holy Land's disciple. With sincere hope, I implore you to stay following my apology. Bullying someone? Who doesn't know how? Responding with a faint turn of her head, what a shame, I still want to leave. Bai Yan never had any interest in this alchemy convention to begin with. If not for her three Shifa's sake and demanding attitude to attend, the woman here would have just ignored it completely. But not everyone's going to take this toying lightly. Showing a grim face, the elder in charge immediately lashed out, "You." Miss Yi Ying have already lowered herself into apologizing. Is this how the disciples of the Holy Land do things? When it reached the last part of that sentence, CEO Wang obviously said it with intense force, losing all forms of his majestic temperament for being an elder. CEO Wang's expression shifted from red to green at the play of words. Indeed, she only said to beg and nothing about promising to stay. Mother. Just as Bai Yan's about to leave for real, Bai Shuchen suddenly tugged at her sleeve, his eyes flickering with light. I want you to see you win the championship for this convention though. It wasn't easy for him to plan out the good show. To leave like this without doing anything would of course cause some reluctance within the baby boy. At the very least, not until they destroy Yi Ying's reputation first. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Son, you want the crown for this contest. Surprised by the demand, she looks down to be confronted by a pair of foxy eyes. Alright, mother will take it for you. As long as it's my son who wants it, then I will bring it to him. Wen Ru, who was still by their side, had become speechless over this full turnaround. Yen, is it good to be so doting of Shuchen like this? What happened to leaving? But then again, I really want to be Yan's child as well now. Oh, what do I do? Thank you, mother. Blooming a brilliant smile, Bai Shuchen's dazzling glow could overshadow even the darkest night in the woman's eye right now. But cuteness aside, Elder CEO Wang was more concerned with the fact that the pair would stay. Relaxing his facial muscles, he sneers in contempt, Miss Bai, I suggest you think more clearly. The crown for this competition isn't something you can get just by saying so. Smirking at that advice, Bai Yan first confronts the senior's eye, then finally fell upon Yi Ying's body. Whether or not Bai Zhanpeng is willing to accept you as his goddaughter is still undecided. Aren't you afraid he would hear of you spreading rumors around without his permission? The implication of that was she didn't want to be the lady of the medicine sect, rather it's due to her uncle's respect for her grandmother that brought on this outcome. In that case, who else could question her position? Miss Yi Ying, hold your words with her lest she defiles your prestigious status. It's just that CEO Wang's didn't have the nerve to say the last bit upon making contact with the woman's gaze. Her temper is so big, she might just turn around and leave if I annoy her. But even if he didn't say it, there's no need. Everyone present could easily understand his meaning. Bullying someone? Who doesn't know how? 2. Indeed, as one of the three major forces out there, one woman was the lady of the medicine sect while the other remains a small little disciple. In terms of importance, it's obvious which weighs more at the end. A humph. Coughing like he's clearing his throat, CEO Wang continues like he's not responsible for that downgrading comment. I won't bother explaining the extra stuff so everyone can just head on inside. The accommodations have already been prepared ahead of time. Boom. The attendees were exploding with excitement at this moment. Even the medicine sect is having trouble creating some of these recipes. Holy hell, what sort of recipes are they? Of course, some of these Dan pill recipes are relatively simple and shouldn't pose a problem for many of you. Raising a faint grin, CEO Wang opens his arms wide into a welcoming posture. In 3 days' time, whoever can discern the most recipes will be the winner of this competition. I wish you all luck. The reason why the medicine sect could remain so powerful all these years was due to the fact that they are in control of special place, where it would spill out different unknown recipes during the year. As for this convention, it's merely a pinky's worth of insight to what they truly hold. No matter how generous they are, these people aren't going to bring out their true treasures. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Elder CEO Wang, please allow me to take it from here for the arrangements. All smiles in her face, Yi Ying then shoots a wink at her follower. Understanding the meaning behind that, the one known as Yi Ling swiftly began to move, leading the attendees to their arranged rooms. CEO Wang naturally knew what the girl intended to do, but he didn't move. Showing an uninterested face, the elder agreed with Yi Ying's idea of tempering the arrogant woman's attitude. Just that, he seems to have dismissed the fact that the woman they are targeting was Bai Yan and not anyone else. Without surprise, the reaction was a direct turnaround as soon as it became apparent what sort of living arrangements were store. Now this was troubling. In truth, Yi Ying only wanted her follower to arrange the worst rooms for Bai Yan and her companions. Who could have guessed the dumb old fart that's known as Yi Ling would try to push a shack that's meant for the firewood instead? Apparently the idiocy running through the first brother also runs through the younger one here as well. Understanding he's messed up big time upon seeing how easily Bai Yan was turning away, Yi Ling wanted to scream out at the woman to make her stop. However, he still hasn't forgotten the fact that the opposition was the disciple of the Holy Land. Suppressing his anger, Miss Bai, our medicine sect don't have any extra rooms left. Why don't you just stay in the shack for now, it won't do any harm anyways. Not budging an inch, Bai Yan's attitude was very determined and walked straight past the senior that's trying to block her path. Now he could no longer keep up the facade. Falling into a urgent panic, Yi Ling's only recourse was to get on his knee. Miss Bai, please don't leave, I am wrong, I am wrong. I will arrange the proper accommodations for you this time. It wasn't easy for Elder CEO Wang and her ladyship to keep this woman from leaving. If I botch this and ruin everything, I would become the greatest sinner of the medicine sect. And the sect leader, his lordship, would definitely kill me. But that not only didn't work, it only brought on a wave of cold laughter from Bai Yan. From start to end, she had never once looked at the bumbling old fool. Regret? It's too late to make regrets now. Before long, the ruckus happening on this end had reached CEO Wang's ear, who quickly became outraged at the news. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.